I'm sorry?
How early is it for you right now?
Oh, I'm in the UK, so it's about 1 p.m.
Oh, okay. Well, you're in UK. Okay, you don't sound UK. Never mind. We don't have to talk
Oh,
about it.
yeah, I'm from Singapore. I came here to study.
Ah, Singapore. Alright, I see, I see.
Yeah.
As a exchange student at first, or just like international student?
Nah, just the whole thing.
Whole thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's whole. Wait. That's. I mean, that's interesting, right? Like studying across the world. How is that for you?
Pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's a lot better to study here than in Singapore, like at least stress-wise.
Stress-wise, and is accreditation for the schools maybe also more, like better, more universal around the world? I guess.
Yeah, because the medical school in Singapore only is recognized by Singapore,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
while the medical school I'm in is recognized by a lot more countries.
Yeah, pretty much entire EU and probably US and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, just gotta do some entrance tests if you wanna go to the US.
Yeah, and that should be, yeah, way less hassle with yeah. Well, I hope you made the right choice. I'm hoping you made a good choice for yourself for your future. Then sounds like you did.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could give yourself as many opportunities as you can. I think you're doing that, so that's good. Looking out for you. And now you're trying to get some advice here so you can get ahead there as well, right?
Yep.
Or at least not make any mistakes that are preventable.
Yeah, I mean I did Star Force by impulse this morning. So it's not,
Well, it was
not great, but
at the 30% off, or
yeah.
okay. And what did you Star Force?
My CRA.
And that was so that was before the after the pictures, right?
I updated it.
Oh, you updated. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. And they were
So-
what was everything 17 or
Everything was 18 stars.
it was 18? Okay.
Yeah, but I boomed my hat
Yeah, it looks
twice
like it.
and I thought 3 times.
Oof.
So
Yeah. So kind of back to
Yeah.
square one.
yeah, it wasn't bad. I spent like 5 bill in total.
Okay, not super
Yeah.
bad. Okay. Well, we could talk about that. Like your well, first of all, like your Adele, you still like playing Adele. Did we go over like pretty much all the basics last time? Do you have any recurring
No,
questions from that?
last time I did a equipment session
Okay.
just to change to EXO.
Just a quick session. I see.
Yeah, but now I'm like looking more into my like how to get stronger through like other ways besides equipment, and also like whether I should change to Arcane anytime soon.
Okay. So that's the main things, like moving into Arcane and just general account progression, I guess, to help keep your character getting stronger without maybe necessarily needing to make huge financial upgrades on the character itself.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm at hard win, hard lose it, so I don't know whether I need to change to Arcane in order to like progress more without pushing my absol. Yeah.
That's probably going to be the case, yeah. But the thing is with Arcane is you can't just move into Arcane, right? I mean, it's already now way more accessible than it ever was, in the sense that it is now a viable upgrade path for everyone. Whereas before, it would only be for like the elite of the elite, right? Like the people who are spending thousands and thousands of hours, or who get super lucky on bosses or something. Only those people would actually be able to move into Arcanes. And now, you know, not to say everyone can, but like virtually everyone can, as long as you just throw more hours at the game. Like eventually you'll get there. And I mean, and in the near future, the main blockage will be like getting enough lucid and will clears, because once you have those and the shop comes out that just sells droplets all year round, it mainly just comes down to, you know, just buying the droplets, having the clears, and boom, you can just buy yourself the gear. So that's gonna be like the final step on pretty much everyone being able to get it. But the question is when is it a good idea to get it, right? Because you are pretty much stuck on 17 for a while. I think with relatively low risks, you can get up to 19 Arcanes. but relatively low. It depends on the stage of the game you're in, of course. You know, if you just got your Absolab, then YOLOing your Arcanes past 17 doesn't feel like it's risk-free. But if everything else is like 21 stars and you're contemplating 21 to 22, then getting Arcanes from 17 to 19 feels relatively risk-free in that situation. So it kind of comes down to what is the general order of making these big upgrades, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing Hard Lucid, Hard Will, and do you have aspirations of going beyond that, like doing the Tenebris bosses and doing Varicella and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to like just get as strong as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess the next step would be Hard Tenebris.
Yeah.
But I think it's still kind of far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, those bosses are ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
I'm not even actively in a Hard Tenebris boss party. I mean, I definitely could be. But like before the final damage change, the party I was in was like, we were clearing a few times and not clearing a few times, and it became a little bit too unreliable, you know, like the outcome of the run. So we decided to just take a step back from those and just clear normal by ourselves. And honestly, the biggest value, the only real big value out of the Hard Tenebris bosses, I think, is the fact that you get a chance for the Endless Terror from Sea Gloom. That's pretty much the only value, because if I remember correctly, I think one of the bosses drops like the same amount of sparks as the normal version. You know, sparks are the item you need to turn the Varicella drop into the key for Black Mage, right?
Yeah.
And the other one even drops fewer on the hard version versus the normal version. So you're actually losing out on sparks if you're doing both of the Chaos ones. So I don't know. I don't see myself getting any pitch boss items like ever. I got one eye patch now after so many runs, and then it just blew up 20 to 21. So even if you get one, it's very unreliable to go anywhere with it. So yeah, it's not fun content for me to run like the same thing over and over and over and over, and I get absolutely nothing. That just, yeah, doesn't really get me. That doesn't really get me going, you know. There's too much RNG on that, on those drops for me personally. So I prefer doing more guaranteed stuff, like doing content on different characters, and that's more fun for me, honestly. But I totally get people who dedicate very strongly into one character. Which is that what you're mainly doing? Are you kind of like betting on the Adele now as like the one character?
I don't think I have time to restart already. So
yeah, I'm not saying restart, but like, you know, sometimes it's, you know, not to say that this is something you have to do, but like sometimes it's just fun to just have another character that's weaker so that you don't have as many expectations on you on that character, right? That you can just chill and, you know, there's no pressure on you really. You can just go back to like being a kid and like exploring the world as a kid, you know? But,
I mean, nah, I don't really think I want to make a second main or like a bossing meal at the moment.
Okay, so every single Terra burn, you're always just using functionally for Legion and for Lynx?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, and your inner ability is still pretty much focused towards leveling for now. It looks great. I don't think Adele gets like an insane boost out of inner ability. You know, it's definitely beneficial once you set it up for bossing, but you know, in the meantime, that's amazing when you're training, right? That sets you up for success in the long term.
I think I'll just keep it until I'm like around 270.
Yeah, I think
I'll start training in Sonium, and maybe I won't be in Meso and drop gear, so it won't be very important to have that eye.
Yeah, and by then you'll have enough honor experience to also guarantee when you're re-rolling to get something good out of the first two lines, right?
Yeah.
You need some time anyway to get that honor XP. Some people spend like 1, 2, 3, 4. I saw someone yesterday talking in chat, they spent 6 million to get their top line back after they circulated for their second line, so it's always good to have a little bit of a buffer. Yeah, it could be very rough, yeah. So, okay, and what do you do on like a daily and weekly basis? Like how much money do you make, and what kind of content do you enjoy doing?
Well, I enjoy bossing. Farming quite a bit nowadays, now that my exams ended, so like I can try to finish like all the totems in the cash crop for about 2 months before starting to 0 totems again. Yeah, so yeah, I can play quite a lot for least 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
After that, not quite. Yeah.
And how much would you say you make in that period of time?
I can run about 5 totems with Legion Wealth a week, so it's about 7.5 bill in farming and 2 bill in bosses, so about 9 bill a week if I run all my totems.
Oh yeah, because Ursus and Maple Tour is like a bill, and then your other boss is like a bill combined as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's like 9 to 10 bill, probably like 10 with a little bit of extra here and there.
Yeah.
Doing dailies. Okay. Okay, because we were like, what, 3 weeks away from 5.10.15, right?
Yeah. So I want to know like how much meso I need to get.
Yeah.
Before you know, I want to know like how much meso I need if I wanted to get everything to 21 versus like if I wanted to get my Arcanes and star them reasonably. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so we'll do some calculator work afterwards to see what the exact differences are, right?
Yeah.
With fans. Okay, I'll look through the stats a little bit, see where you're at. That seems to be pretty reasonable. And what kind of FAMs are you using with that to get this?
Oh, it's just pure IED. I don't have any boss damage.
So is it like 3 15% or are you using 2 right now?
20, 15, 15.
20, 15, and 15. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Adele has quite some functional ID as well, right? That you don't really see in the stat window all the time. She's got some.
Yeah.
You got the
Yeah,
stacks
but you gotta keep like your resonance.
Yeah, but that is something to practice and to get good at, because it also gives you 10% final damage.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just try not to die when I dash though.
yeah. That's the main thing. I was on my Adele now. I'm trying to use my dashes whenever I'm in phase 1 Lotus, to just like when I'm standing in front of it, just to get used to dashing right into it in front of me when the crystal is like right on top of the, and you kind of have to just trust that it will work.
Yeah, I can't trust it.
Yeah. It's it's something else for sure. It's not ideal, but yeah, I mean, and even now it's nerfed, right? Because it used to be 15% final damage and 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be able to stack it 3 times, but now it's just twice. Yeah, I always like dash over like lucid golems.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now I've been trying to dash outwards instead.
Dash outwards.
Upwards, yeah.
Oh, upwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
For lucid, yeah. Oh yeah. Are there any specific bosses that you have any questions about, or is everything fine at the moment?
Maybe for Will.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what the strategy is with clearing the webs. So, would you want to wait after the move, then you clear the web, or you just clear the web when you have enough moonlight?
So it kind of depends on what class you are. So like as my marksman, for example, I'm close to the corners, right? I'm far away from the boss. So I just clear whenever I can, because the webs tend to connect to the closest webs. So if I'm standing already not too far away from a web, then the next web that spawns could be right on top of me. So I always want to clear the corner whenever I can, so that the next web spawns in the corner and not like right where I'm standing. Because if it spawns right on top of me and then move happens, then I get like instantly destroyed. So the other thing is, usually what I do is when it's move, I activate Moonlight and then flash jump in the move and then keep going into the corner, cleanse, and then go back to the boss and fight. Because during the move and the stays, you can't hit him anyway. But if you move to the sides during a stay, you can get hit, because if you're using a move skill, right?
Yeah,
usually I clear during that. And just sometimes, whenever I'm close to the corner, if I get pushed into the corner or something, I try to cleanse first before leaving the corner. Because if there's not move yet, then there probably is a move soon. And then maybe you can prevent someone else from getting knocked back into them. So if you're either near a web or during move is usually when I cleanse.
Yeah, cause we always get like pushed into the side.
Yeah.
And get web, then Will just decides to move.
Yeah.
So,
That's the other thing, right? He pretty much always alternates between stay and move. So if you know a stay just happened, and then it's also it could be good to get closer to him so that if you get pushed back, you don't get pushed back all the way into the corner. Or right after a stay, you could cleanse as well if you're not too far away from the corner. And then if you see everyone is standing on one side, you try to cleanse that side so that if people get pushed over there, that they don't get crushed. You can definitely save some people's lives by strategically cleansing. Yeah, and always try to cleanse two webs, right? Because you can. Yeah.
So if you stand on top of Will, you won't actually get pushed into the corner.
Yeah, well, it depends on what the corner means. If the webs are starting to creep into the middle, then what is the corner feels like it's getting closer and closer, right?
Yeah, I mean, like normally it's just like one web at the side.
Yeah, one or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the webs are like the third one or the fourth one gets a little bit bigger as well. So then it feels like the map gets really small. So it's important that that there's a lot of people there, right? More people, the more moonlight, and the other thing is dodging, right? You'll get better at dodging as well, and then the more you dodge, the faster your moonlight builds, and that allows you to cleanse more as well. So try to, if you can, try to dodge the legs as well. That'll help you a lot in being able to moonlight more, cleanse more. Then fewer people die, then more people can cleanse. And what's also bad is if people are dead, if they stay dead very long, because then you get no moonlight at all, and then the whole
in our party we just tell them to revive after the next move.
Yeah.
So they won't stay there for too long.
It depends on how many lives you have left, you know. If you have like 6 or 7 lives left, you could just respawn. Like, it doesn't matter. But if you're down to like 3 or something, and you maybe want to switch at the end, then yeah, you probably should wait a little bit before you res.
Yeah. Yeah, we just cleared Hard Will like for the first time yesterday. So.
Nice, dude. Nice. And so you've been running with the same party for a while?
Yeah. My guild like forms bossing parties for us.
Ah, nice, nice.
So yeah, I've been sticking with this party since like normal Lucid.
Since normal Lucid, wow, that's quite a it's quite a trip from normal Lucid to Hard Will. And it's the same people, or is it like maybe moved a little bit around? But
it's like one guy is different because he quit. Yeah,
I see. That's not that's a good feeling, right? Trying with the same party over and over, and then finally getting it.
Yeah, we got a lot more like strong after the final damage, so it wasn't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Were you feeling more confident with like the setup for phase 1 as well? With like, do you guys do a 2-1-2 or like, how do you get through phase 1?
2-on-1.
2-on-1. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for phase 2, like there's no real pressure to kill them quickly there, right? I mean, you don't want to stay in phase 2 too long, of course, but.
Yeah, we're slowly getting used to like phase 2.
Yeah, you're gonna do 2-on-1, then you're fine. Yeah.
But it's not that hard.
No, it's like, about timing the second test, right? Trying to hold his HP. If you're too strong, hold his HP, and then wait for right after a web to trigger the second test. That's the main thing.
That's what we normally do. Because I think with the web test is a bit difficult.
Yeah, it's still doable, you know, but you want it to be an exception instead of like, if you can choose to do it like that or not, then you'd want to do it not like that because it's just unnecessarily more risky.
Yeah, I can do it quite consistently though. At the moment, like with a web.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That means you've had some practice.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of will practice before we managed to get it. Yeah.
And everyone's like on the same skill level now, because that's also pretty important that people don't feel like they're dragging other people through the through the boss.
It's alright. I mean, sometimes you just die, but during like the test, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. It has, yeah. Again, as long as it's the exception rather than the rule, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely still a time where we've been running Hard Will for a while, and then someone dies to something stupid in phase 2, and you're like, it happens. But then someone else dies to something stupid in phase 2, and you're like, it happens. And then it happens like 4 times in one will, and you're like, okay, can everyone stop fucking messing up?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's my first time messing up. It's like, okay, can everyone just mess up at the same time, not at different tests? Because then we just lost 8 minutes of the run. Yeah.
Yeah, we need about like 9 minutes to clear phase 3, so gotta make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All that.
Yeah, I was definitely around there at that. I've been at that phase as well, where you're like, okay, we can. So it's like, we have 13 minutes, we can clear. Okay, we have 11 minutes, we can clear. We have 9 minutes, I think we can clear. Okay, we have 7 minutes, it's gonna be close. Yeah. And like every single time you fail, it's like, ooh, it's getting closer and closer. Yeah, and then you want to just not be in that situation too many times. But I mean, nobody does it on purpose, right? But if you if it's not your day or you're having a laggy day or something, then just die before the test and call it quits.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Yeah. If I have like too many lives, just throw one away to not do the test. Fine.
Yeah, you could just chill. Okay. Okay, so that's all pretty clear. So is there any I guess last question before we get into the details and everything. Are there any commands that you have any questions about, or and to which extent are you familiar with the commands and other sessions that go more in depth in like this stage of the game?
I guess there's like IED. But I was just wondering whether I'm just missing the Legion part for the IED and nothing else, which causes like my IED to be kind of low without familiars.
Because because you have so many familiars now to compensate for that, right? 20, 15, 15, yeah. Well, that'll be a big part of it. Because of how IED works, it's multiplicative, right? So if you add it to an existing source, then it's better than to have it as a new source. So if you can add it to the 13% now in your Legion grid, and you can expand that to 40. Yeah, even though that looks like it's plus 27, but that's better than adding a 30% line. So
yeah,
it's very possible that with that and then dropping all the familiars, that you're basically where you want to be.
Yeah, I probably want to try and get some boss damage once.
Yeah, exactly. And then other than that, it's probably just finishing up the Link skill, so like the Light Wash up to level 3 eventually. And and adding the Explorer mages for IED.
Yeah, like I was wondering whether, like, what priority would a level 3 Lumi Link be at? Relative to the other links.
If you're mainly doing bossing, you have full superior, right? Yeah, because that IED is of course necessary. If you're mainly doing bossing, then I would say it's decently high. Not as much necessarily for Adele, right? Because you have a lot of visual, you have a lot of functional IED as well that gets added. So you don't need to be super duper hard on the IED. You don't need like 97 visual or some shit, right? But yeah, I guess it's not super hard priority. I guess if you find bossing familiars and you can't equip them because you feel like your ID is still too low, then it becomes a higher priority, because then gaining that Link skill basically gives you access to 30% boss, right? And then it's basically like adding a 30% boss Link skill. So then it gets more value. But until you have that familiar, then you don't, it's not as important.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if like this plan for the Link skill characters are alright.
So these are your Link skills when you're... Oh yeah, planned. Planned.
It's a bit it's honestly horrible. It's kind of shameful that I'm using this.
Yeah, well,
for,
I think
like,
you have
Hardware and Lucid, but
yeah, you have a rather small Legion, I guess, compared to all the other stuff you have, right? So you kind of just have to do what you can with it.
Yeah.
Okay, Link skill plan. Yeah, so you want it Terra Burn AB, okay, and then DA MBT 210 DS Cadena replaces Hoyoung, and Kane. Shade, Ilium Link are leveling.
Yeah, so I was wondering like if the mage and thief links are very important, because it's kind of troublesome to level them, I'm not gonna lie.
I think the thief one is not super important. The mage one I would say is pretty important, because that one, I always prefer the 100% uptime ones versus the ones that are only active some of the time, honestly. Unless it's the Angelic Buster one, because, if you're pretty burst heavy, then that's just...
That.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also why Kane and Thief are usually like on the lower end of like possibly being in there. Yeah, tied up battle is also a little bit risky to have as a bossing one because I'm
Forces you to move.
blanking on the
you
world.
don't really want.
Yeah, because you have to do that, right? Yeah, it's conditional. That's the word. Because it's like a conditional buff. You'd rather have the cadena in there because I mean that's also conditional, but that's passive conditional. It's like, oh, he's always going to be debuffed. The boss is always going to be debuffed, right? And you're always going to be higher level than the boss. At least for reboot, right? Otherwise, all of that final damage reduction. So that's also conditional, but that one doesn't require you to maybe, play risky in the boss fight because you don't want to lose your stacks for damage, right?
Yeah.
So I would look at it in that way. So I guess the one thing I don't see you mention is the kinesis. Oh no, sorry, you have the kinesis.
Oh
Never
no,
mind.
I
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah, you have it. Yeah. So you have the ID from there. Yeah. So the explorer. So I would put the explorer mage, and then you adding DS and cadena. So it's 3. Yeah. But you mentioned close call and Ilium link, and then you get the resistance.
Yeah. I don't know whether I want to level up a resistance either, but I think it's quite important. Is it? I mean, is it very important for Tenebrous bosses?
So they are slowly changing all the bosses to have the respawn in the map rather than like the screen going black and then you respawning.
Okay.
And that immediate respawn in the map also comes with like 1.5 seconds of iframe. So once all the bosses have that, the resistance link isn't going to be as important. But the difference of having 8 seconds versus having 1.5 seconds is still allows you a little bit more freedom of looking around and positioning and maybe throwing out a few skills without needing to feel bad about dying at anything at any time. So I think there's still value in it, but it's not going to be as much anymore as it was before. So if if those are the classes you really hate, then you could push those back a little bit and keep an eye on the patch notes for sure to make sure which bosses are added into the bosses that have that. I don't know why they didn't just add it to all the bosses immediately, but that's just how they're adding it.
Yeah, Battle Mage and like Mechanic look kind of horrible, and Blaster. So maybe I won't do that so soon.
Yeah, they're not really your classes.
Yeah. So I was wondering whether I should prioritize more on these Legion characters or my Link skill characters more. So there's also a plan for like Legion characters. So I kind of want to mesh those two into one list so I can have like the order in which I want to level my characters up.
Yeah, that's the other thing where you're mainly looking at 200s and at 210s now, right? So there's a pretty big project.
Well, I'm trying to just make full use of this the Maple variety event. So I'm trying to push the DA to level 210, and after that I'll get the AB to 210. So I think it takes about a month to level it from 200 to 210. So it should last until the end of the event if I have those 3 links. Yeah.
Take a month. What would you do in that month to do the levels?
Oh, just the mini games, because I don't fund them enough, honestly.
And another thing you can do to get some decent levels, which I've gotten on some characters, is if you run them through Monster Park. Do you have that available?
Oh yeah, I can run 7 times on my mules if I want to.
Yeah, you've got the medal on your main. Yeah, you got this medal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I found that's so if you start with nothing and you go to you do like a full medal on a character at level 200 by just doing Knight Stronghold, which is like the fastest one. Then you get to like level 207 by the time the medal is done. Is what I've discovered. But that's like 11 weeks, right? That's like 3 months. So if you do like a more difficult one, then you can level on it more in a shorter amount of time. Of course, doesn't take as much, but again, without really that much funding. As long as you do like the level, I don't know if you should do the level 200 one because Vanishing Journey is like a big jump, but it's also a big jump in EXP. So you can try that in addition, see if that speeds up the process significantly. Because you probably still want to do Monster Park on something anyway, right? To keep getting the coins.
Yeah, I'm just wondering like what level would be the optimal level to actually do Monster Park.
I mean, it always keeps giving EXP. I'm doing it now on my Hoyoung every day, trying to get up to 225 by just doing the Lakaline one every day.
Oh, okay.
It looks like I'm gonna reach 225 by the time I get my medal, or like almost 225. So.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it on my 0 at the moment. Because as you can look at how he looks like, he's quite underfunded.
Yeah.
And
got the hat. Yeah.
He needs as much help as he can to get to 200.
Yeah.
For the EXP. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your general order makes sense, like the Jet and the Hayato. So for Hayato, you say Mega Burn, so you don't have a Hayato right now?
No, I don't have a Hayato right now, but yeah, I was wondering if I should Mega or Terra Burn it, because I've heard that Hayato is quite a pain pre 5th job.
I don't think it's a pain. I think it's pretty like dull. Like you basically just using one skill and then using an AoE attack whenever you have it. I thought it was pretty straightforward.
It's like an Adele.
Maybe more like a Demon Avenger, like on the on the same scale. Like you're just like attacking in front of you, and then you have an AoE, and then that's basically it. You just press the AoE whenever you have it, and otherwise you're just like regular attacking in front of you. So yeah, you don't really expect a lot from it. It's definitely a night and day difference from hitting 5th job. Like hitting 5th job, your character gets crazy strong. Yeah, it's big. It's a big upgrade there. But yeah, maybe by contrast, then it feels like before 5th job, it's just really bad. But I never really saw it as such in the moment. But again, like I was kind of doing it in the order of my link skill command, right? Or the links command.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I basically just start from the top here and then work my way down until I got all the level 2 links. And then once I had all the level 2 links, then basically you're very close to 6k Legion. Because you just have an army of 140s. And then the main thing is that with that 6k Legion, you'll be able to put a lot of characters on a board, and you have all the level 2 links available, and then you can start back from the top and work your way up to 8k. Now you can kind of skip steps with Terra Burns, right? But back in my day, it was usually Mega Burns. There weren't any Terra Burns out, so it was basically getting everything to 140 and 150 was like the way to go then. But now you can kind of skip forward with Terra Burn, but that kind of makes it feel like a 140 or 150 is really bad or like an incomplete character, whereas before it was like a necessary step up because there was no way of getting 200 or 210 so easily.
Yeah.
So it's a different perspective to whether the character feels like it's already quite, you know, glass half empty, half full kind of thing, right?
I was wondering if I need to like train a Bowmaster or like whatever was in your list. I think Bowmaster was kind of high.
Yeah, that's like, mainly comes down for the crit rate. Crit rate is very important, and probably the most important thing right after the EXP stuff, or maybe even before that, honestly, for mules, because a lot of characters start with very low crit, and the main reason that new characters feel bad and feel very weak is because they don't have enough crit. And if you don't have crit rate, you don't hit crit damage, and crit damage is like the most important way to increase your damage in the beginning as a new character.
Okay, so it's more for like to strengthen up your mules.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Also, sometimes people's main characters have low crit and will need it, but the archer link is like definitely very early on one that you can start dropping, right? Because it's only 10 crit and then, you know, monster collection. Like it's functionally not a very great link skill for your main character, so you want to get out of that. But typically you do that through hyperstats. But if you're leveling up a mule, you need to wait all the way until 140 until you can make hyperstats, right? And to get to that point quicker, this link skill is very good because you can dump the Beast Tamer, the Phantom, and this link into it. You can basically get any character 100% crit rate by like second job, and then you can start leveling very, very quickly, and you can make the whole hassle of leveling a new character and starting with nothing. You can get over that initial bump way faster. And then if you add all the crit damage and all the level 2 link skills in the game to it, then you will just see huge results. So that's, I guess, the main thing that I would advise is not to really focus too much on. It's good to have long-term plan of wanting to get certain characters to 200 and getting all the characters who are not 140 yet just to 140 for the Legion. But usually what I do is like I'll just log in on the characters that are not 140. I'll just log in and kill Zakum and then log out again. And
Yeah,
it's like
that's
really
what
fast.
I do, but sometimes I'm a bit lazy.
Yeah,
But
that's fine. It's fine if you're not doing all of them every day. Just, you know, do what you're up to, but just do a little bit of Legion every day. Either you do some Zakum runs, or you make like a new character. Because the main thing that you can do for your Legion right now, and I very much get the feeling that you don't like doing this. So like I'm going to give you like the more efficient way of doing it, so that you don't have to spend as much time doing it, right? Because it's kind of taken away from what you like doing more, right? It's like playing on the Adele.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind training that much. I don't mind training mules that much. It's just,
Well, some classes are just not your style, right?
I mean, I guess it's like learning a new class, especially if the class is kind of different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very
It makes
unique.
it a bit-
That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many classes, but they're still pretty unique, which I think is pretty impressive. Because it's like a 2D game, and you have 50 classes, but there's still this many unique playstyles. Which I think there's something there. There's something
yeah.
something good in the design there at least.
Yeah, it's good if like you want to choose a main, but
Mhm.
I guess if you wanna create a mule, I don't really want to get too far into the mechanics of each class.
I see.
So I just end
Yeah.
up training each class like really suboptimally.
Mm-hmm.
Like not switching on any toggles on the cane or like
Yeah.
kind of
No,
thing.
I get that. Well, that's kind of why that order for the links and the Legion exists. So you can kind of, if you want to, you can brute force your way through it. Basically, you know, you just get the EXP buffs, get the crit rate, get the crit damage, and then get all the flat damage. And then every new character is going to be so strong that you can be suboptimal with it. You could just, you know, do the Hayato
Yeah.
with just like holding down the basic attack and just spamming the AoE, and then you're good. You know, it's pretty much as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah, like when I train my zero, I just press 4 buttons. Like I just mash 4 buttons at the same time, and it seems to
Yep,
work
pretty
well.
much. Yep.
Yeah.
Blaster will kind of be the same. You make like 2 macros and you just spam those 2 macros. You just alternate, and then that's kind of how you kill things as well.
Okay.
And once you get
Yeah.
further, there's like the shotgun punch and jump, and then one of the buttons, and you basically just go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then you hold the arrow key in which way you want everything to die, and that's basically how you play Blaster. To circle back, I think the main thing you could do for your Legion and for your account in like the short and midterm is if you feel like doing the Zakum runs, do Zakum runs. If you feel like doing some more, is just make a new character and get it to level 60. And then move on to the next character, or to level 70, you know, if you want to get the level 1 link skill. But just, if you make one new character every day for the next 3 weeks, and get to level 60 or 70, if you get to level 70, right, you have 22 more characters, that's 1.5k Legion. So then you'll be at 4.6k.
Yeah.
And then once you get all of those to 140, which will be pretty simple, right? You can just go one at a time, get him to 100, and then just do Zakum, Zakum, Zakum. You get them all to 140, then you'll be at 6k Legion. And
Yeah,
then with 6k Legion, you have access to the whole grid. You can do the IED for your main. You can do critical damage for your main. You can get more critical rate from stats from other sources. You have a little bit left for like crit rate and boss damage, right? So however it needs to be placed, and then every character that's now around 140, 150, they can have a full Legion grid with like full crit damage and crit rate and some bonus EXP, and they can be, and then you'll have, you know, you just fund a little bit of money onto the character, just like a little bit of Star Force, a little bit of occult cubes. Maybe get the secondary and the emblem to epic or something with some Master Crossman cubes, and then just, you know, roll for 6% weapon or magic attack. But then the funding of the Legion grid and the funding of all the level 2 links of the entire account will get you from 140 to 200 there, where basically you just, you know, turn your brain off, use coupons. You have a lot of Legion coins saved up, so you'll be able to use some Legion coupons as well. And then you can knock out those 200s if you want to, because that's essentially once you're on your way to getting 8k Legion. And I think you're doing some prep now. That's like the setup that you would do for 8k Legion, like, you know, the Aaron, the Mercedes, the Phantom, like the level 3 links already, and like the Evan. You have a really good setup for getting for 8k Legion, but at the same time you're only quote unquote right, like, only at 3K.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that, but you know, all the Star Force events that have been coming up made me want to just farm totems instead.
Yeah,
So I can get like those items that I can smega.
But you can smega. Ah, you want to show other people
Yeah.
how cool your equips are. I see.
Exactly.
That's the goal. Okay. So we've shifted the goal slightly from progressing to Tenebris to being able to flex
I'm
on
just kidding.
noobs.
I mean, you know, the Varus medal is quite a flex too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The Source of Suffering looks quite nice. Yeah.
yeah, especially when it's traced. Yeah.
But yeah, so for Legion, I would heavily consider that, because those characters you will. I mean, already now, if you start a new character, right, with 3K Legion, you already start feeling that a new character now is quite a lot stronger than back when you played a new character. But
yeah, and I can use like 2 times EXP all the time because of my coins. So
yeah,
quite easy, honestly. It's just not gotten around to doing it because I've been doing so many totems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. There's a lot of events, but so we'll look at how much money you need, and then you can kind of like paste it in. Because Legion is one of those things where it's easy to kind of be like, not today, and then before you know it, like months have passed and you still haven't made any gains. So if it's kind of like with some dailies that you don't like. When you start skipping a daily and then you get into the habit of never doing it, and it becomes an exception to do it versus an exception to not do it. It makes a big difference in and how long it takes to do something. Because it can be, you know, if you're doing it every day, but you skip every now and then, it's not a big deal. And then you're just like, okay, well, you know, I'm just going to not do it today. And then the difference is, instead of something taking a month, it takes like 5 weeks or something. It's like, it's slightly slower, whatever. But the thing is, if your standard is not doing it at all, and then you do it like once or twice, and you do it like 1 day a week instead of 7, well, now something, instead of taking a month, takes 7 months, right? And now it's unrealistic progress. So you want to make sure that whatever dailies you do, whatever weeklies you do, are in line with what you want to achieve, so that you don't take away from other things that are in line with what you want to achieve, right? Because if something is not something that you want to do, but if you want to reach something, right, and the way to get there is by doing something that you absolutely don't want to do, you have to tell yourself, like, either I'm going to get over that because I really want to get the thing, or I can get over that, and then you have to not want that thing anymore. Or you have to be like, okay, it would be nice to have this, but I can't, I guess this isn't in the cards for me, right? And then I kind of have to let that go. Yeah, because you don't have infinite time, and you know, you have your preferences. You know, sometimes you can be like, okay, I'll just toughen it out, but you can't toughen out like 4,000 hours of farming, right? That's like, why would you do that to yourself? So if something requires a certain thing to do, then it's up to you to kind of be the arbiter of, am I willing to make these steps or not? So I think that's why I think, like, for Legion, it's a relatively small step. An easy, it's easy thing to like cross off the list, you know, like you have a list with all the characters, you do like bam, 1 done, 2 done, 3 done, like that's easy to do. Where it's like make a lot of money and get a big upgrade, that can be like an ethereal blob of just playing the game, but maybe not as you know like SMART goals. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I get it, but I'll definitely like train my Legion a lot more after like 5, 10, 15. Or
yeah, to get the date, that's in 3 weeks, right?
I need. Sorry?
That's in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, I just want to like, you know, farm enough meso such that I can reach what I want to get. And then after that, I can concentrate like purely on Legion and aim for 6k or maybe 8 after a while.
January 16th, yeah.
And
it's 4 weeks. It's 4 weeks from now.
Oh, it's a month. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I was wondering for like, for gearing of my mules, when should I start trying to get 3% on all my equips? 3% stat. So for my mules, normally what I do right now is I get 6% attack or magic attack on my WSE at level like 100-ish. Once I get my secondary, and after that I don't really do anything with my Pencilier equipment because, you know, it's quite expensive to occult cube, and I don't feel very great, you know, wasting so much meso on getting like my Pencilier to 3% rare. I don't know.
Yeah, usually, like on the way to, man, it kind of depends on the stage you're in, right? Like if you feel like you have limited resources, do you have like a giant pile of occult cubes, like from bossing? You have a lot of them?
4,000 or something. Like.
Yeah, so that's more the thing. Like in the beginning, it makes sense that you don't really throw a lot of money at your characters because you just don't have the resources. But later, like you'll have stamps, potential scrolls, occult cubes, possibly master craftsman cubes and stuff like that as well, right? That don't really have much more value on your main character, and that'll. Yeah, when that trickles into my storage, then I start looking at, okay, what's the next character that needs work, and I just start spending it on that character. So for you in this situation, it could be like the Zero, for example, because you want to get it to 200, or it could be the Shade if you eventually want to get it 200, and you just start upgrading the stuff. And once you notice that most of the stuff is getting to Epic, and you roll everything for 6%, I mean, you might even start considering getting the emblem and the second emblem and secondary to unique or something to try to roll like a unique line. But once it gets to that point, then it's reached that funding. And Pencilier is just it's just easy because the set bonus with the normal monster damage, you know, it's kind of straightforward. Plus, you don't really need to go all out. And with just Pencilier, like 10 or 11 stars and like 3% stat on that and 6% on anything that happened to go to Epic, mostly like accessories and emblem and secondary. The main thing that's going to carry you there is like Monster Park potions, Legion buffs, and Link skills. Like that's the main thing that's going to carry you. And then
so
you keep adding hyper stats, you get your hyper skills, and then you turn your brain off and you get to 200 basically.
Yeah, so I should try like getting 3% as if I want to reach like from 140 to 200.
Yeah. And once you get further into the game, the expense of rolling whatever gear you have to just 3% is gonna feel more and more negligible in the grander scheme of things. Plus, if the character ever gets to 200, you make most of your money back just from training and from looting up to 200.
Yeah. Would you recommend like doing a transfer hammer from like level 120 equipment to level 140 equipment because you know that you get a lot cheaper rolls with the occult cube, or do you just like fuck it, do it on the pencil?
Yeah, usually I don't do that. Like, because if I get a good roll, like a good flame on the level 120, like on the necro gear, then I just keep the necro gear and don't even bother with going to Pencilier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically you can either do necro or Pencilier for your meals to 200.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you get a really good flame, then it can even overpower the Pencilier quite a bit.
Yeah. So basically, for Legion, I should train the Explorer archers.
Yeah, what some people do is just make Pathfinders, right? Because they're the simplest and probably the strongest early on, and then just job change them later.
Oh, and what level do you job change them at? Like 100 or 120? Because it costs a lot more mesos, I think.
I think in the grand scheme of things, it's like you don't even register how much money that is.
Oh, okay.
Because
it's like a negligible amount.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah,
I think change it at 120.
Yeah, or 140. You know, whatever the amount is. You know, for if you're still gonna kill Zakum on it, you know, whenever you want to switch, but do it on event. Yeah, you can also do it on an event if there's a job change coin, but the job change coin is typically pretty expensive in the shops.
Yeah, it costs a lot of coin, a lot of like beans at the moment.
At that point, I think it's probably cheaper to just pay the meso at a low level. Yeah. But it's more like if you're, you know, like 270, you've only already switched like 12 times, then it's like billions. So then you probably want to use the job change coin. Pathfinder's Explorer,
And for the mages, should I like job change also from another class?
You could, if there's one that you enjoy training way more than the other ones and you don't mind doing it 3 times on that one. I think they're all kind of the same in the beginning. Fire Poison is probably a bit slower in the beginning. Bishop isn't as good at mobbing as Ice Lightning, but they have Holy Symbol, which gives you a lot of extra EXP, which means you probably get to 140 faster. But to 200, if you wanted to get to 200, then Ice Lightning is probably still faster. But for 140,
I don't think I'm gonna get to 200.
No, just giving you as extra. Just giving you as extra
I don't want a
context.
very smart warrior.
Yeah, I know you're not trying to go for 8k Legion tomorrow. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like 140, it's basically a toss-up. So if you like Bishop more, you like Ice Lightning more, both are about the same speed, I think. Maybe
Okay.
Bishop is a little bit faster, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll just look into it, and I guess I'll just follow your order.
Yeah.
And but in your order, does it account for like those flat stat characters like Kaiser or Thunderbreaker or Hero?
Yeah, so in the so we've got the color coding. So the yellow ones are basically good for everyone, and then green is utility. It's basically just knockback immunity, right? It's really useful for some people. And then blue is for bossing, and then red is the specific one. So that's what you're talking about, like which stat.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
then
so I should train the specific ones last after all the ones on top.
Yeah,
basically.
because that's the member bonus is flat amount that is not multiplied by percentages. So it's
Yeah.
still really good, but like as filler stats once the other one are taken care of. Because the other
Yeah.
ones are also more transferable to other characters, and then it allows you to level those characters faster, so you can get those final stats faster as well. So
Yeah.
it's all,
Alright.
yeah, the order is all designed as a snowball, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, actually I've been working on my Legion quite a lot, like the last month. Because last month my Legion was actually 1k. So
Okay, that's really nice. Yeah, I mean, you're balancing your time, plus you had exams, so... and there's
It's
events
like-
coming up, and you want to progress your main. Yeah, there's a lot to do.
yeah, because I was like level 250 and my Legion is like 1.5k or something like that,
Yeah.
and people are laughing at me, and I was like, yeah, I think it's about time, just to have a full bunch of link skills for
Yeah, you
bossing instead of using the Mercedes link for Lucid.
You can flex your items, and then the next mega, someone is like, this guy only has 1k Legion, and you're like, damn.
Yeah. Like, oh man.
Get undermined
Fools.
immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for Legion, but
One thing I will
For-
add for Legion is that, because I see you did like Terror Burns, but then the clothes expire. If your characters are on the Legion board, their score matters for the Legion raid power, right?
yeah, so I'm thinking like I should just get some really low level equipment and Telstar them just for some free Star Force during like the 1+1 event that's coming up.
Yeah, like the Necro Gear could be really good for that. It's very easy. You just kill. Well, I mean, you need to get a weapon on those items, but on those characters, but you can kill like normal Hilla very easily. She has a good drop rate for the Necro Gear, and then it's very cheap to Star Force as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just like farm at Robos or something like that. I don't know, like something that gives like really bad equipment that is very cheap to star.
Yeah, as long as you
So,
can go over
yeah.
10, right?
Yeah, as long as I can get 12 stars on the equipment,
Yep.
it doesn't really matter what it is.
Nope.
Because I'm not playing those characters ever again.
No, it doesn't look like it. No, so
Yeah.
you didn't like
Well,
Kane? Kanye West?
Kane was alright. It's alright. I just leveled it up to 200 because it was really easy. Yeah.
Are you doing Lara
right
now as
I'm
well?
doing the Lara.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's at level 80. I did it this morning.
Also pretty
Yeah.
fast, right? Pretty strong.
Yeah, it's quite OP for like farming, I would say. Yeah, and for these link skills that are on top of these Legion, like what priority will you place them like between, so like when would you train like these link skills, link characters, and when you train these Legion characters?
Yeah. So I would kind of do like a little bit of everything at the same time, but not do anything full time, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
I'm a very big believer in like just finding the path of least resistance. So if you want to do the AB Terror Burn, that's like something that you do in like a few sessions, but that's basically taken care of. It's like, okay, this is going to be my next Terror Burn. So that's like out of sight, like that comes when it comes. If you want to get DA and BT to 210, so I would do, I would do daily monster park on them to get levels, and I would do mini games, and I would do events just to get like the free EXP whenever that exists, and that's what's designated to those. So that's also like taken care of. If you want to get level 4 link, level 2 links in there for like DS and Cadena to replace the current existing ones, that means making the character, getting to either level 60 or 70 in one sitting, whatever. If you like it, keep going to 100 and kill Zakum, and then they go into the rotation of every day I check and do a login and kill Zakum on like 5 characters or something.
Okay.
And then they just go into that rotation until they hit 140, and then they're out of that rotation. And those are like a few groups of things that I will do in a day, because I'll always try to do Monster Park in a day, you know. If there's a special event with rewards, then I'll check which character needs this. And as long as you have a character like allocated or on the list for a certain event, then when an event comes around, you immediately could be like, oh, okay, which character is up for that? Okay, do it on this character. And you don't have to start worrying about like, oh, how am I going to utilize this event? Because there's always going to be like a list of characters that are like next in line for a certain type of progress.
Yeah, and
so that's how I
there are
look
also those honking potions, and I was wondering what I should use them for. Like, you know, the I think it's the extreme growth until like level 200. Like, would you recommend me using them all on the 0 just to try and get it to 200, or is that a bad idea?
So there's it's a nice buff, but those potions are also kind of a trap. So what they do is they make people get artificially high levels with artificially low funding, which means that you will...
Just what happened to my 0.
Yeah, and then you're kind of locked into only leveling that way anymore, because you don't feel like it's worth investing any money into the character anymore, because it's already kind of close to where you need to be.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're not really close, because you need to wait for events, because you can't get there by yourself, because you got as far as you got artificially. So it kind of locks into people into this false sense of progress, where in the short term you get like a huge burst, but in the long term you're actually like losing momentum towards the next
yeah, so like
goal.
I'll try just bonk all 10 potions on this 0.
Yeah, so I think I would keep so I would make like a list of what is the next character that I'm gonna do the artificial type progress on, and always focus on one character on that, because otherwise you'll risk having like a whole legion of like level 160s that all got there artificially, and that none of them you feel like putting some money into and actually getting to 200, and then
push.
And then you can't really push from 6 to 8k. Whereas if you're doing that with 2 or 3 characters and you're smushing all of that into those 3 characters, and then the other ones you do the, you know, getting the equips, getting some epics, getting the Monster Crossman cubes, getting the potential stamps, everything from your main, from your bossing, and then slowly leveling the character up and then being like, oh, this character is actually kind of strong, putting all your Legion on there, committing a few totems and rushing from like 150 or something to 200, and then the character is done. Then you get the money back, you put the money onto the next character, fund the next character, you know, and then you kind of start the cycle if you want to go from 6 to 8. That'll be more feasible than having a whole legion of like 165s, because you got the most value out of the bonks. But now they're all in an area where they can't kill anything, because they're like wearing level 110, level 120 gear with nothing on it, and the monsters are like Star Force aliens in
no, surprisingly, this 0 has like full 12 star gear. Like, you look at the blue hat, you won't believe it's 12 stars, but it actually is. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with 0 is just that the mobbing damage in the beginning just isn't very great. But once it takes off, they're like one of the best trainers in the game, because you can just spam those tornadoes across a very wide horizontal maps, and once those start killing, then they're very, very potent.
Yeah.
It all comes down to scaling, you know, and when a class gets to shine.
Yeah. Okay, so like, I'll just level up as many 140s as I can.
Yeah, I think just flooding the board with just new characters. I just make a bunch of 100s and then just put them into the daily Zakum rotation. If you like them, you can keep training them, of course, right? But if they're a class like, this is not really my class, then just do one Zakum at a day, and then you'll just get free levels and just go up and up and up, and then your Legion levels are gonna, you know, be right where your Legion coins are now.
Okay. Yeah, my Legion coins is way too many.
Well, it's good though, because the upgrades are gonna get very expensive. So if you're gonna build your Legion out very quickly, those coins are gonna be necessary to buy all the upgrades.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a bit of a buffer. You know, it's worse when you're like at 100 coins and it's like, okay, do I start saving up for the next one, or if there's an event coming, do I spend them on Legion coins instead to get more wealth? You know. Those are harder decisions to have to make, so you're in a good position that you don't have to make that decision. Like if you're going to do a totem, then you can use whatever coupons you want, and then if you're working on Legion, you can always afford the upgrade. So that's a good position to be in. So, you know, try to see the positive.
Yeah. Well, my issue right now is that I don't have enough Legion wealth available weekly to farm enough totems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that means that you're training a lot. That as long as you're using all of them, like you're doing, I mean, you're doing the best you can, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
At least you're
Yeah,
using
I
your
think
totems. I'm not even doing that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some money before I semi like get like really inactive again when school starts.
Yeah, when is that?
Um, End January.
January, okay.
Yeah, so got a bit more than a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like late January you start again?
Yeah, late January.
Well, better take the time now that you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I have so many Legion coins, because I was doing work. I
Mhm.
wasn't really playing for a while, just doing dailies.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, so
yeah, I think
Legion
that's
and
it.
Links feels clear now?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just get everything to 140 and
Yeah, because then anything you want to get from there to 200, if it won't feel like it needs as much funding and like you need to spend as much money in it anymore.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And are you confident about your V matrix? When bossing, use holy symbol. Switch out for Grandis. Earth shower for
Yeah.
conversion. Do you use Earth shower a lot?
Yeah, I use it for VC3 because
Right.
it's part of the Adele rotation actually, because you gotta clear the upper platforms.
The hitbox is quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit in a triangle, right? It hits in a square.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Because I mean, it looks kind of like a triangle, right? Earth shower.
Yeah.
But I think it hits more in a square. Like the,
Yeah, it
the
seems like
hitbox
it, because
on top is bigger.
yeah, it's like hitting the whole platform at the top. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Decent. Switch decent sharp eyes for decent combat orders. Oh, and that still gives you enough. That still gives you enough crit.
Oh yeah, because I have a Pathfinder on my team, in my party. So
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, normally without decent sharp eyes, I have 90% crit.
Oh,
right
okay.
now,
So solo you could use decent sharp eyes, but in the boss
Yeah,
party you use.
when I'm doing my own bosses, I
Yeah.
use sharp eyes.
And you've got two of each of the skills. I'm assuming. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's the boost nodes are definitely done.
Yeah. I mean, your skill nodes are already pretty high, so that's also nice. Yeah, decent sharp eyes. Yeah. Legion looks really solid. You have any questions about like any skills or?
Yeah. So in leveling my skills, should I just level each one to 25 each way, or should I just like, like right now I can focus on like Infinity Blade. Should I just focus on that solely, or should I just like,
Yeah,
also
usually.
craft some ruin notes or some like goddess notes?
Yeah, usually I get things to like 23 or something, and then I kind of move on to the next one, because you'll slowly get more, right? If you open up nodes, eventually you get some more. It always feels bad to craft them, and then a week later you get them, and then you have to kind of like disassemble. That always feels a little bit shitty. Plus the final damage change usually at the end, costs more and is relatively lower to how much it increases versus the total number. So I think it's fine to move on when it's like 23 or 24, and then
So I just like concentrate
levels.
on one node at a time to 23, then move on to the next one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then it'll slowly level up, and then once you're at the last one, they'll all be 25. And if they're not, then you just craft a few at the end. Because like Holy Symbol and Ruin. I don't know how important your Storm is.
Not important.
No, I know that
Those are just like these storm nodes were just like passively taken up. I didn't actually craft any. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's the same level as like your Sharp Eyes and your Speed Infusion. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you only crafted for those three, like Infinity Blade, Ruin, and some Holy Symbol, maybe.
Yeah, I just craft those three. I kind of stopped crafting for Holy Symbol already. But yeah, I'm crafting for Ruin right now.
Yeah, for Holy Symbol, I just looked at the percentages and was like, okay, if I gain 2 levels, I gain like 1%. This is like, okay, whatever. it'll slowly level up. I don't need to prioritize it too hard. I think I got it to like 16 or 17. Yeah, I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, and the question I have at the bottom is like whether Impenetrable Skin and Erda's Will is actually useful.
So Urda's Will eventually for Tenebris and up will become useful, yeah. So if you get multiple, just level it up. And then you'll fuse for it later to try to max it because the cooldown is super long, right? If you don't if you don't level it. It basically goes down to the same cooldown as the regular Flora's Will, except the Flora's Will can go lower with decent combat orders because it takes it up to level 6.
Yeah.
But it basically goes to the same cooldown as level 5. And yeah, Tenebris and up it will become useful for sure. Same with Impenetrable Skin. That one is more like a min-maxing for burst damage than to really need it for the knockdown resistance though. Because I mean you have Plummet, you have Positioning, you have Mobility. Those are more the tools that you use to not get knocked down most of the time. Or use your iframe.
For Will?
It works for Will, yeah. You can use it in like Will Phase 2 and Phase 3 if you don't want to get knocked around as much. It doesn't last as long, so it's more like a situational short-term tool, and it has a pretty long cooldown. So it's used in a pinch if you really need that knockdown immunity, or if you need just a little bit extra burst.
Yeah, because right now in Will I'm running decent Holy Symbol, because I don't really need anything else, honestly.
Okay, you could try it if you feel like you're getting knocked back too much and you have a little bit more freedom to move around, to cleanse when you want, and then maybe help other team members that way as well.
Yeah.
And that's Urda's Will could do that as well. Like if you use it and you jump into a web, like you don't get sealed for a little bit.
Oh, it does that. Okay.
Yeah. So like if you press it before you get CC'd, then for the next 3 seconds, I believe you're CC immune. So then you can.
And is that the same for like the Flora's Will?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I honestly didn't even know what Flora's Will and Urda's Will do.
Yeah, for the longest time they weren't really relevant because the best mechanic was always damage, right? You could just kind of overpower all the stuff that the game could throw at you. Like you could just get better at positioning and just kind of ignore that part. But I think it's really in the last year and a half or something, once Black Mages come out and people have gotten way better at that, people started recognizing the more utility that those skills have. And it requires a bit more skill because, you know, it's just more buttons and more situations, and you have to be pretty fast with clicking them because a lot of times you have to use them preemptively. Like you see something bad's going to happen, you have to press them beforehand so that the bad stuff doesn't happen. A lot of times you can't use them to cleanse once it's happened, you know? So, but people are getting better and better at it, and it's becoming more and more like the basic skill set of people to be better at that. For me, I've played years and years and years without ever using them, so it's really tough for me to start using them now. So it's probably a good idea to get them into your mind and into your rotation.
Yeah, I'll probably put it into my keyboard.
Yeah,
like the
floor. Yeah, you could,
Will,
exactly.
For Will at least.
Yeah, and then once you need more of it, then you just add the Urda's Will, and then you basically just have double the uses, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Other than that, I think I'm fine with the V matrix.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and like you said, the Grandest Blessing is going to be pretty big for the burst, right? Yeah.
It's quite low level right now because I've just been unlucky. So I'll do that after Ruin. I'll do that after Weapon Aura.
After Weapon Aura? Yeah, Weapon Aura is also final damage. It's got good uptime, Weapon Aura. The thing is, if the Weapon Aura uptime is like longer than your bursts, or like as long as your burst, then it's already kind of good, I would say.
Yeah, it's really long.
So like Grandest Blessing just empowers all of your other skills while you're bursting. So I think that's, I would see that as a decent high priority. Definitely if you're trying to like increase your BA and help your team to make the burst stronger. Yeah,
I just follow like the Adele Discord on what.
Oh, they put Weapon Aura pretty high there?
Yeah, it's third after Ruin.
After Ruin? Oh, okay. I would put it a little bit lower, I guess, in my mind, but it is final damage. I mean, final damage is good. And it's got IED as well, right?
Yeah, it gives good IED too.
Yep. And the extra damage from the, It used to be stronger. I don't know how long you played. You know the old Weapon Aura, what it used to do?
Which one was it? I played a hero last time in MapleStory.
Where it, like, basically whenever it activated, it would copy the amount of lines of the skill that it copied. So it'd be a little bit more random, right? If you use the rush skill and it activated, it was very weak. But basically, if Dark Knights use their big their big burst skill, their Calamity Cyclone, and then at the end, the explosion. If that one got a weapon aura, it was way too strong. So they made it more uniform, doing the same damage to make it a bit more fair.
RNG, I guess.
Yeah, that made Dark Knight at some point like the best 10-second burster in the game because of the Calamity Cyclone, and then the big explosion at the end, and then weapon aura would double that, which it made them. There was like a tier list in KMS for top 10-second bursters because all of their binds are 10 seconds, and then Dark Knight was number 1. It was like, what?
Yeah.
No one was expecting that. No. Man's from Singapore. Yeah. Oh, someone can hear you in chat. Yeah. But that makes sense. And are you using blink a little bit more as well? Are you feeling that? Because that's also knockdown immune, right? If you jump and you blink, that's also knockdown immune.
Oh, it is. Like for Will also.
Yeah. You'll just and even if you get stunned by something, you'll just get stunned in the air. You won't even fall. So you can use it for Lotus as well if you're doing like hard Lotus.
How about like the Adele's one? The Adele's float. Do you think it has?
Wait, the Adele's what?
The float that Adele has. What's it called? A high rise.
Yeah. If you're floating in the air, I don't. Are you knockdown immune during that? Well, you can always test it. You can just do. Yeah, you just go into normal Lotus. I know Plummet makes you knockdown immune.
Yeah, but
I don't know about the.
That's a bit finicky.
Yeah, the timing is pretty exact with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't trust that. For myself.
You did that once, never again.
Yeah. I tried doing hard Lotus, I got knocked straight into a train.
Oh yeah.
I'm not doing that again.
At least the hitbox for the train is not as bad anymore, right?
Yeah, but I just started like running hard Lotus, and the number of trains is a bit ridiculous.
Yep. You'll get used to it though, because hard Lotus was always like in the beginning, it was pretty difficult, but then it gets easier and easier as you get higher level. But then, since I started doing some Black Mage practice, even though I'm like horrible at it, going from there back to hard Lotus is like a total joke. It's like nothing is going on. It's like you can stand anywhere. It's really one of those things where it's a contrast boss fight. Like Chaos Papalatas seems insane the first time you do it. It's like everything kills me. I can't do anything, right? But then once you get the boss down, it's like, oh, it's you just don't do this, and then you just stand there, and then it just all at a certain time it just clicks, and then you just know what to do and what not to do, and it becomes simple because the amount of situations where you feel like you can't do anything is an exception instead of the rule, and then you just don't die.
Yeah.
It makes it look easy if somebody looks, but yeah, you just learn. Okay, so Matrix is good. We didn't go over the familiars, but you're working on the familiars, and if you get boss damage familiars, right? You know where you can get the IED now?
Yeah, I'll just level up my Legion.
Yep.
And like get my Mage link up and running.
Yep. And then maybe the Lumia is like a little bit icing on the cake, but that one's a little bit lower priority, right? Because it's more space to cover. And it'll be easier to do that once your Legionary Link is higher anyway, so then it'll feel like a more normal upgrade to make at that point, because it won't be as big of a mountain to climb.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so backups. You have a glove? Did you get a drop?
No, I bought it because I had a lot of flames expiring, so I was like...
okay.
Why not?
Yep.
Yeah.
You have something to use the flames on, yeah. Eternal flames, I'm imagining.
Yeah, like... a whole bunch of random flames. I was wondering like what I should settle at, like what flame score I would want to settle at before I stop flaming it.
Are you also planning to make the weapon? Oh, so you also have 30% ID on your weapon. So you would be losing that if you switch out.
Oh yeah. So I guess at that point, if I change out my weapon, the Legion is gonna be really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'm missing out any like sources of IED besides my Legion, am
I? The numbers I'm seeing from all of the ID you have, I would just expect you to have way more, but maybe it is just like the Legion clump being lower, because even like your hyper stats is pretty high. The other thing is also that you don't need to be as high visually. Like the visual IED of like 95 or something with familiars. That's probably on the high end too. So you can afford to go a little bit below that because of all the functional ID you have and the boost nodes and all that stuff.
I think I only need about like 92 to 93% visual. But,
Yeah, I don't know if you're missing. I guess there's like a little bit of ID in the familiar badges, but that's like tiny.
those are small.
It's mostly Lynx and Legion. You've got your Monster Park medal. I mean, the Arcane weapon comes with 20% on the item itself, right? Instead of 10%.
Oh, okay. So actually, I guess it will offset if I change to Arcane weapon. Like, it won't offset completely. But
not completely, yeah, but I think
it'll, like, kind of cushion the decrease in the IED.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Are you considering, because like the used to always be the advice to go for the Absolab hat, right? But of course the set bonus is changing, right? Where it's not as extreme anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go for I mean, I got an Absol hat drop yesterday, but I don't think it's worth it at all to, like, invest in it if I plan on, like, changing to. I mean, if the set effect changes are going to be kind of soon.
It's more like if somebody can just barely get like a weapon scraped together and then they have absolutely nothing left, and it's going to be like months and months and months before they can consider even getting a second piece, then I think getting the Abzo hat makes sense just to keep the set completed. But otherwise, I think it's best to just move forward into Arcane and just slowly weed it out. Again, like, losing the set bonus is more like you don't really see the numbers change that much. It's more like a mental thing, like knowing that you're not optimal. But ultimately, especially the weapon is like worth breaking the set over. Arcane weapon is just so strong compared to even if you have a 21 Abzo, like switching from 21 Abzo into a 17 Arcane is already still an upgrade because of how much better the base attack is, which makes the flame so much better. Because in my old party, so I was running the hard bosses with old party with a dual blade who had a 21-star Absolab with I think like 2-line attack and 1-line extra, and he got the drop, the weapon drop, and he got the weapon to get a tier 6 attack flame and something else, and the weapon was already an upgrade and it didn't even have Star Force yet. So it's like
big upgrade.
Yeah, it's a huge big upgrade is like understatement, because every single upgrade in your brain is like, this costs so much money, this costs this much money, right? This is such an investment. And then comparatively, between all of those upgrades, getting the arcane weapon is just so cheap for how much, like, it's still expensive, but like comparative to other upgrades, it's so cheap for how much you get back for it. That's like ridiculous. Because a lot of times people be like, oh, do I get a weapon or do you just wait for a drop because it's so many droplets? Like, everyone who's ever gotten the upgrade instantly says, like, never mind, it was worth it, because it's just such a huge upgrade. And if you get a weapon, that means you can Star Force a little bit beyond 17 if you want to get cheeky, you know? Like, you always have an option with it. But no one's ever really, like, regretted buying the arcane weapon, because it's just so good.
I don't know, like, I was wondering if I should buy it, because, you know, I'm already clearing Hard Will and Hard Lucid every week, so the chances of a drop, I would say, isn't that bad.
Yeah, that's totally up to you. So if you feel like you can do everything in the game right now and you don't really need to upgrade anytime soon, then it's totally fine not to buy it. You know, that's within your right. But if you feel like you have enough pieces to be able to go for the whole set, then just make the move, you know? Or if there's a big event coming up that you can make it so that you can save a lot of money on upgrading it. But it's mainly 5, 10, 15, right? Like the 15 to 17 part, just like safeguarding there is like, yikes. Or there's like a no boom room or something, then maybe get a little bit earlier, right? So that you can really cash in on that. But otherwise, yeah, just do it whenever you feel is necessary. Because there's no real benefit either in spending like 20 bill on equips and then just having them sit in your inventory and not being able to wear them, right? That doesn't help you either, so.
Yeah, but I don't know, cause I think the jump from Hard Lucid to Hard Will needs a big needs a big upgrade.
Yeah, the arcane weapon is definitely like something. If your whole account is a little bit on the lower end on the funding, then an arcane weapon can like sweeten the deal and like even it all out for sure.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know whether you can even consider going into Hard Tenebris with 17-star Absol and an arcane weapon.
You could, but everything else, like your whole arcane would have to be 21, and a lot of your accessories would have to be 20, and then your potentials would have to be really good, and your weapon flame would have to be really good. You know, you just have to overcompensate. You have to have a big legion, probably, right? You just have to compensate with the other things. Do you know about my progression grid?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it for a while though. I haven't compared it to my character.
Yeah, so and basically what you're talking about, like, is your star forces on the lower end, right? Or your total stat is a little bit on the lower end. If your stat is on the lower end, you'll have to compensate that with everything else being higher, basically, right? With being your flames being higher, flame scores being higher, arcane power has to be really high for that. Boost nodes, boost nodes and skill nodes have to be like pretty much maxed. You can compensate for that, and I mean, I do advocate for that to do what you find fun, you know, to do what's fun for you. And that might mean that making some sacrifices, you know, being a little bit lower in some categories, as long as you're higher in the other categories, and to compensate for it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it makes sense for you, you know, that you can get through the day and feel like you're enjoying it. Because if you're not enjoying it, you're gonna play less, and then you're gonna make less progress. Like, that's just how it's gonna work. So, just do what makes sense for you.
I was just wondering whether it's realistic to change into arcane weapon. I mean into the arcane set before this, you know, before these Star Force events happen.
Before the Star Force, have you bought out the black bean droplets already?
I have 31 left according to this slide, but I bought some.
Because I mean, you'd have enough to buy just the weapon, right? Nothing else?
Yeah, at the moment I have enough to buy either one weapon or two armor sets.
2 armors, yeah.
Yeah,
if you're trying to make any like strong upgrades, like on the short term with that, it would definitely be to get the weapon. Even though your weapon is probably like your best piece, right? It's still gonna be a big upgrade on that.
Yeah, but I was looking more into the long term, you know, because if I get the arcane weapon, I'm not really gonna advance through any bosses, you know.
You mean in the short term? Like in the midterm, it's basically gonna set you up to being able to do Tenebris. You're gonna be able to do Loosen Hard Will even easier.
Yeah, but
like the slime boss is like kind of the next one that you can look into, right?
Like the chaos slime.
Yep.
Is it? Yeah.
People want a lot of damage for that one though, so it's one thing to get the mechanics down. It's another thing to do a lot of damage there.
Yeah, but I thought, like, you know, in order to get to Tenebris, I would need to like 17 star an arcane set instead. Like I would think that would be more efficient compared to 21 starring everything I have.
Well, you kind of exclude the Abzo from that, and you 20 and 21 everything anyway. But you just do that first, so that you give yourself more time to get the droplets and to get the money for the droplets and to get the boss clears, so that you can afford all the pieces. Because like ideally, how are you again on the drops? Could you potentially, because you couldn't get the weapon and then you can't get the other pieces anymore, right? Because ideally you just want more will and more lucid clear so you can buy all of them, and you want to get the money to be able to, you know, the shop that comes up after. Or that most likely, you know, KMS brought out the shop that sells droplets permanently, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just buy them whenever. So it's all about getting the boss clears in and making the upgrades. But I feel like it makes more sense to just get the weapon in the short term, because that's a huge upgrade now. That'll give you more breathing room on Lucid and specifically on Will.
I mean, it's not very difficult, honestly, to clear Lucid and Will right now with my party. So I don't think I need to get stronger in the short term.
Sure.
I'm looking more towards like the long term and, you know, efficiency in terms of meso and droplets. Yeah,
then I would just look more at backups and at your current stuff. Like, if it's not necessary, right? I'm not going to tell you that you need to switch into Arcane. If you really want to and that's important to you, I think you're in a good position to like go for the weapon and feel like it's a good investment for short term and for long term. If you want to do like purely look at this efficiency wise, if you can do all the things around your level that you want to do, money wise, the more like efficient upgrades would probably. It's probably what you were doing, probably getting the CRA to 21, And after that, it's probably getting the arcane weapon. And then number-wise, it's most likely getting like fodder for the superior to 21 and then transferring into the superior stuff. Like I don't. How did you do the superior Gollux earrings? Did you just do it on the item itself?
No, I forwarded it. Yeah.
Yeah, 21
Yeah.
reinforced.
I changed straight from my Will-O-Wisp earrings to 21 star.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's ideally the upgrade you want to make, of course. Not everyone can do that one.
Yeah, I was a bit lucky with that one.
Yeah, sometimes lucky, you know. We take those.
Yeah.
Because like next thing would be probably like the belt or the superior ring, right? Because you have 21 kind of treasure and you have kind of treasure backups. So start forcing a new one, transferring into the superior, trying to get superior to 21, and then redoing the potential on that. Stuff like that I would do after I get the CRA to 21, right?
Yeah.
And the arcane weapon is somewhere on the same line of that upgrade, honestly.
Same line as which upgrade, sorry?
Like with CRA to 21, like getting the arcane weapon, and then that's probably like on the same level. I would do that around the same time. You know, if an event comes around that makes that a little bit easier, then maybe the priority shifts a little bit. But I would say that's around the same level.
Yeah, maybe like today I'll buy arcane weapon.
Yeah, I think it's a fine. I don't think you have to feel bad, because even if you do get a drop, that just means that you maybe don't have the safeguard. You know.
Yeah,
and that saves you money, or it means you can try to go past 17 if everything else starts working out, you know.
Yeah,
it'll have function.
You know, the issue with that is that I'm scared that, you know, after I buy it and I get a drop, then I can't buy my other equipments, because
you'll just buy it later. You know, you can.
It is right now. Like, I feel that if I get a drop, I'll be able to buy the full set in 3 weeks. In 2 weeks or so.
So here's what it comes down to: would you feel worse buying it and getting a drop, or would you feel worse not making the upgrade at all and being weaker for longer?
I think I think I'll feel worse if I get a drop, honest.
Then just don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you know that you'll feel worse doing that, then just don't buy it yet.
Yeah, because I'll be like, after I get a drop, I'll be like, oh man, I could have been a full purple gamer by now.
Yeah. If that's how you feel and you don't really need to upgrade, then just don't buy it. Then that makes more sense for you.
Okay.
And then just focus on the other upgrades. Focus on CRA, and then focus on fodder, kind of treasuring into the superior, and maybe pink bean belts for the superior belt, and on redoing that potential. Then that's just more important for you now.
Yeah. And for that, I'll like. What flame should I like settle for my arcane glove?
Arcane, yeah. So I have that in the progression grid as well. So you look for flame score, advantage, and then you look at the late game and end game, right? Because you're looking at arcane, so you're looking at the highest number. It's like 125, I think, initially, and then eventually people go for some crazy stuff like 160 plus.
So I'll just settle for 125 plus.
That's pretty doable usually. It's like 80, 80 stat and 5 all, or like 100. You know, sometimes you see like 120 stat or 110 stat with some secondary, and that gets you pretty close.
Okay. Yeah.
You're mostly using your Eternals on it anyway, probably, right?
Yeah. I'm just like dumping some event flames on it.
Are you gonna DMT it to legendary, just to have it there?
I should, right?
Yeah, because it'll be pretty cheap. You're just saving like 500 mil or something by doing it on that day, and you don't have that much else to DMT anyway, right?
Yeah, I don't have anything. So
no, everything else is legendary, so it's like might as well. It's a small expense, and I mean, it's like you're almost making like an hour worth of grinding money just by spending it on that day, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So I was thinking whether I should buy like arcane armor pieces. Do you think it's a bad idea?
If you're
Like,
buying the
just
arcane,
DMT
if you buy the arcane armors, but what if you get the arcane armor as a drop and now you can afford the weapon, right?
That is true.
Then the same logic applies as before.
Yeah.
So then you have to be consistent with that with that reasoning. Otherwise, you should buy the weapon again.
This is gonna be like the box drops soon, isn't there? So,
yeah. Which and the percentages are going to change a little bit as well. So we'll have to see how that works out exactly.
Yeah. So Yeah, I have not. I don't really know what to do with the arcanes at the moment.
It seems like you prefer waiting. I mean, from everything you're telling me, you're okay with waiting, and that just means that just like with the characters, right? Where you set up like, okay, this one is going to be for Zakum, this one's going to be for Monster Park, and for slow event leveling. This one is going to be for Terraburn. Just like with your equips, you're like, okay, Arcanes, that's when I feel more confident that I can make the whole set, or when I get another drop that will make the decision for me. That'll be settled later. I don't really need the upgrade now, and like the fear of missing out of the full set for me is more important than getting there quickly. So that is just something I'm doing in like the mid to long term. In the short term, I'm going to focus on these other upgrades first that are also good investments, equal or maybe even slightly better upgrades for now, and that's just what you're going to focus on more. If your goal is to be like Arcane Gamer, being full Arcane, the main thing I would do is not rush it, right? If that's something that you feel like you're gonna miss out on that whole thing by rushing it, then just don't rush it, because it'll give you more value for eventually reaching it if you feel like you did it in a good way, right? Because that's gonna have a lot of weight as well, and not like, oh, I could have gotten it like 2 months ago or 3 months ago if I made another decision. If that's gonna hinder you too much, then just make sure that you don't ever run the risk of getting into that mind space. It's like when you're gambling, right? It's like, okay, do you want to spend $100 gambling? Is that fun for you, or are you going to feel bad that you lost $100? If you're going to feel worse that you lost $100, then just don't gamble it. It's that simple. Just don't do it, right? Because you don't want to put yourself in that in that space where you like start hating your past self for the dumb decisions that you made, and then you're just fucking yourself. Because if you could know beforehand, like, no, this is going to be bad, then just don't do it forehead. It's that simple. And then just look for another thing that is way lower risk, that also gives you investment, that also gets you in the long term, and do that one instead.
Yeah, and I was thinking like how, like when I reach this arcane, these full set arcanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would I want to change them? Like, how do I prep the equipment?
Wait, sorry, can you say that again? I was kind of distracted.
Like, how should I prep the equipment for Arcanes before I make the switch?
Well, first you need to get the pieces. So I think in your situation, probably is the best is knowing that you can buy all of them, right? And just feeling like you can switch into all of them. And then sometimes you buy things a little bit early if there's a specific event, like you did for the glove, right? Like there's a bunch of flames expiring and you don't really have anything else to put it on. Then it makes sense to buy an item a little bit early. If there's an event like a 30% off, I would probably just get it to 15 already, right? If you have the money, it's just one piece. It's part of the greater plan, you know. If there's a 5 to 15 and you have a piece at 15, then just get it to 17 then. If there's a DMT, then work on getting it to legendary, and then you can use like spare Meister cubes to try to roll if you get something nice. Like for an arcane glove, I would try to get at least like 8% critical damage and a line of stat. Eventually, you want to get 2 lines crit damage, but that doesn't have to be the initial investment, because again, you're trying to get into the full set first. Plus, if you're rolling for double crit damage, you're using black cubes anyway, so you can always do that at any given time. That doesn't have to be immediately, because you can always keep your old potential. The main pressure is going to be on your weapon to get a good flame, like at least tier 6 and some bonus stat with it. Because that's just so important, right? Because the base attack is so high, so the tier 6 is going to be at absolutely like minimal level of flame on the weapon. And we talked about the flame score for all the pieces, right? Like 125 initially. If you get anything higher, then that's great. You can move on. Like legendary and at least 2 lines of stat is like minimal requirement, I would say, for the regular gear. And for the weapon, initially you could get away with just like 2 lines of attack, but pretty quickly you'll also try to get just the 3 functional lines, you know, like 1 line boss, 2 line attack, something like that.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all the ways of upgrading, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but so in that case, do you recommend I buy like one armor piece today, just to?
If you really want to, you know, it's yourself. If you could be okay with the decision, if you feel like not buying a piece now and missing out will feel worse than waiting, then do that. You know, whatever you think is good. It's ultimately it's your. Yeah, I can't make that decision for you, because if you're gonna feel worse afterwards, then all of my advice is gonna be bad. Like, because you're not gonna feel good about following it, right? I could just give you the options, and then ultimately you have to decide if you feel like missing out is more is worse than the chance of getting to your full set later.
Yeah.
I don't think you can make any really bad decisions here, because even if you get a piece, eventually you'll need backups. Eventually you're gonna try to go past 17, and eventually that'll be really expensive. So whether you get the piece early or later, I don't think you can make any decision here that's like objectively like horrible and you're gonna feel bad.
So actually, like even if I get like a weapon drop next week and I buy the weapon today, would that be a bad decision?
I've heard from a lot of people that they were hesitant to buy the weapon because of that happening, and then I'm like, if you really feel bad, then just don't get it. I just think it's a huge upgrade, and they end up buying it, and no one I've ever heard has regretted doing it, because it's such a huge upgrade, and it feels so good to have the weapon and to have that set that. But I could just tell you what happened to other people. It's possible that you're different, and that for you it does feel bad, but I haven't heard it from anyone yet that they feel really bad about buying the weapon. Even if they get the drop like the very next run, they're still like, fuck it, at least I got that done, so...
Yeah, because like, you know, I feel like all these events that are happening right now is kind of the perfect time to transition. Like
it does change. It does save money in some extent. Yeah, and today you can get to 15. You have the 5, 10, 15 coming up in a month. You also have a lot of time in between the events, so you have time to make money back. So you don't have to do any insane investments onto one day, right? You can still spread it. You do a little bit during, and if you have the weapon, also you can use DMT also to get it to legendary. So you save an extra $500 million on that as well. It's an expensive transition to do, and if you can spread it over a period of a month of events, plus save on all of the steps, or on quite some of the steps, that can speed up the process in a way, right, of getting to the full set.
Yeah, but
if you're always wondering like, what if the other thing happens, and this is something that I have in general, you just have to think for yourself, like, what would I be more okay with buying a weapon and getting another drop, or not buying it at all and missing and having to spend 2 extra bill to tier up and then having the other pieces. That's hard to say, but you have to make some kind of decision, right? Because waiting is also a decision.
Yeah, I think maybe today I'll just buy one piece.
Yeah. You have my blessing. If that's what you think you want to do, then it's fine. Yeah, if you want to buy a shoulder... Wait, shoulder is... Oh, you have more pieces than you have in the picture, maybe?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I have 14 will and 30...
Oh, yeah, nice, yeah.
Yeah,
no worries, no worries. I know things get outdated.
Yeah, so... Yeah, maybe I'll buy that, so that, you know, at least if...
Okay, you're saying maybe. Are you going to do it, or are you not going to do it?
I'll probably do it.
Probably?
Today.
But that's still
yeah,
probably...
Yeah, like 15 star it today.
So yes, you're going to do it, or no?
We'll see how my 15 starring for my glove goes today.
You have... Wait, how much money do you have now?
I have 2.5 bill.
2.5. Yeah, that's possible that you don't make it, because there's a lot of variance, right? Because you have to safeguard, so if it bounces up and down a little bit, your money just melts.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if I still have money, I'll go and buy the shoulder, because, you know, at least in that case, if I want to buy the weapon, I can just buy it with the lucid drops, and I can just like farm a whole load of meso and buy some droplets from the meso shop. You know. That's
true. Yeah.
Like 5 bill, I think.
Yeah, the main thing is just if you need 2 more pieces from the lucid drop, that's also 24, right? But if you get the shoulder, then you're out of both. So wherever you get the weapon is kind of equal because of the time in between the lucid clears and the will clears.
Yeah, and anyway, I have so many more lucid droplets because I cleared lucid a lot earlier than will.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If there's one thing, do you have any like backup meso, like a lot of spell traces, twisted times, philosopher's stone, something like that, where you can squeeze out a little bit more money?
Let's have a look. Nope.
Okay, yeah. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I have 2.5 bill, but if you like liquidate those things, you can be up to like 4 or something.
I mean, I have like 4.5 thousand twisted times. Should I sell them?
I would never sell all of them, but you can probably sell like 2,000 of those without any problems. You can still make like a bunch of Meister rings later if you need to. So
yeah. And another thing that was an issue, like besides these arcanes. I think for the arcanes, I'm just gonna buy the shoulder if my 15 star goes well. If not, I'll buy it like after a while, and like before the 1+1 event, so I can at least get it to 15.
Yeah, or the 1+1.
Event.
There's also another 30% off event, right? In like 8 weeks or 7 weeks.
But there's no like 5, 10, 15 after that. So.
Well, there's probably one after that, but we just don't know when it is yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they usually kind of alternate, but usually the timing is backwards. So now it's finally in our favor. The odds are finally in our favor.
Yeah.
It ultimately just comes down to what you feel like doing. It's as long as you think about it and you're like, I'm okay with this, and you just go for it, and then you just move on. You get a shoulder drop next time. It's like you could never have predicted that because it's just such a small chance. I've seen one. I've gotten one shoulder. Well, I've gotten 2 shoulder drops in like hundreds of boss fights combined. So.
Yeah. I mean, is there a need to push the arcane weapon past 17? Because that's my primary inhibition, you know. Because at least when you buy an armor piece, you know that you need to get your arcanes beyond 17, and you need a backup. But
yeah, there's less pressure on the weapon, but I would say like you pretty much aim for 19 on everything on arcane. I would say. Like a 19 arcane, 19 full arcane, and then 22 CRA and everything else 21. That's basically where you want to be at if you want a black mage, honestly.
Okay, yeah. Then actually, in that case, because at first I thought that I needed my weapon to just be at 17 in order before I could liberate or whatever.
Yeah, for a while, but
if I need it at 19.
19 is pretty free. If you look at the odds, the chance of booming from 17 to 19 is very low. Plus, like 17 from 19 on all your arcanes combined is a lot of stats.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stats. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll figure it out later today. I'll make a decision.
Yeah, just make a decision, stick with it, and then just move forward. No, And but make sure if you don't do anything, that's also a decision, right? So any decision has benefits and has downsides. So as long as you're okay with accepting the upsides and the downsides, then you go for it. That's it. Yeah. It's like that with everything in life, right? Like there's also downsides to going to the UK to study medicine. You have to leave your family and stuff. But you get a lot of benefit from it, and even though it might suck sometimes, like in the greater scheme of things, it's the right decision. So you keep pushing forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll probably, in that case, if I need a 19-star weapon, I'll just buy a weapon because my reasoning for it was different.
Yeah, I see. Then the backup feels worse. I get that because then there's absolutely no value in it.
Yeah. Because the armor backup is and I guess the droplets will come after a while. It's just.
Yeah, and then sometimes for armors, people will go like all the way up to 21 or something, or up to 22, and then for weapon, you typically never do that because then you're looking at liberation basically past like 19 or something. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean. Yeah, but if I buy an arcane weapon, would it help me in any way besides making it easier to clear hard will and hard to fit?
It'll set you up for Tenebris bosses. Doing like Tenebris bosses in full Abzo is definitely the hard ones is not really doable unless you just get hard carried on your party.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just sit on it and think of it afterwards.
Yeah. Consider what you want to reach because you're trying to stay the same party and go into Tenebris as well with everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a chance that I can just get into another party with my guild into Tenebris, so and still do will and lose it with my current one. So
yeah, it depends on if you're okay with getting carried, if the setup is going to be basically a carry, if you need the damage, right? That's what it comes down to. Do you need the damage? Do you need the upgrade? Do you want the upgrade? That shifts the priority of what you get.
Okay. Yeah. So besides the arcane, what should I focus on?
Yeah, I would say the CRA stuff, and then the accessories that we talked about, right? Like foddering and transferring into specifically the superior stuff, so that you can save. Hopefully, you don't need to buy extra superior Golix rings, right? Hopefully, you can get to 21 without any shenanigans there, and then you can keep your Golix coin backups for reinforced ring.
Okay.
Or if you want to make Meisters and try that, and if you get Meister,
Oh,
that's so
I have
bad.
no primals at all. I
Oh,
have
no
no idea
primals.
why.
Oh, okay. You're doing normal
Yeah.
arc every day with drop rate?
No, I stopped doing it. I got 4 DOMs though, but I have 0.
Well, that's why you don't have
Like,
primals, because you didn't get any before and you got disheartened, okay? Do you stop doing
Yeah.
Lucid and Will because you don't get an arcane drop?
Nah,
Nah,
I
you
mean
keep
it's
trying,
more of a,
right?
It's more of a daily thing, you know. I don't have much time in the day. A
Okay,
daily
okay.
thing, but you
That
know,
makes sense.
weekly bossing is
Yeah,
not
you make
as
time for
bad.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't like I don't remember to kill Arc every day most of the time. Yeah, but maybe I should.
It's like doing Zakum on a mule, you know. It's kind of like an obligated thing almost. Just the chance for primals plus the dominators that, and you're gonna need more dominators, right? Because dominators is the Star Force fodder for the pennant, right? That's the next thing. So you're gonna need doms as well. It's just it's good value. Like normal arc, there's very few things that I say are like really necessary, because I don't like putting like 50 dailies onto someone. It's like you have to do all of these things and then you don't get to play the game anymore. But it's like symbol dailies, normal arc, that's like, I would say like those are like the bare essentials to do. If you don't have any time in a day, like those two I would do in that order.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Helix would be like right after that, and then, you know, then it's a bit more free. Then you can start thinking about like the normal bosses for the soul shards or Commercy and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
So next step would be rings. Or I mean would be CRA or
Yeah, CRA, and then wherever you have the most backup. So you have a lot of kind of treasure rings, so I think that one is a pretty safe upgrade to go for the superior, and you have backup coins in case something goes wrong. Trying to go for 21, or you could go for 22 on the ring and to transfer into 21. Wherever you feel like if you're getting lucky, you have the money, you have the backups. Wherever you want to, you know, mitigate the risk. You can pay for it in Mezzo on the kind of treasure ring so that you don't have to take the risk in Golex coins. You know, that's a decision to make.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't have Meisters, you probably want to push harder on the Reinforced, which means you'll probably need more coins for Golex for the Reinforced, which means that you don't want to push as hard on the ring on the Superior, and you have more backups for the kind of treasure, so it would make more sense from mathematically to try to go for 22 kind of treasure into 21 superior, so you can keep the Golex coins for the reinforced back. Or you do reinforced first, and then if you get successful with the reinforced and you don't need the backups, then you can maybe try 20 to 21 on the superior and only go for 21 on the kind of treasure, because then the Golex coins aren't, you know, spoken for yet. That's kind of up to you whether you want to go the one order or the other. But either way, I would say the CRA and probably the belt is like by far the easier one, right? Because because do you have any belt backups or no?
A lot.
But I mean superior ones, sorry.
My whole inventory. Oh, superior none.
Okay, superior now.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the belt is kind of in the same situation as the ring, right? You have a lot of backups, but you'll have to tap 20 to 21 on the piece, which will cost a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll probably like try to 22 it, then transfer it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I have so many, and I don't know. I don't have that many Golex coins at the moment, I think.
It's more the Mezzo thing, honestly. If you're going for 22, it's the way you have to think of it. Is it, you know, from money, is it cheaper to go 20 to 21 2 times or 20 to 22 1 time? The first one is always cheaper, right?
Yeah.
On average. So that's why people do 21 to transfer. There's some risk involved for sure, but on average it's way cheaper. But then, yeah, if you get unlucky, but then you could have gotten unlucky on the source item as well, and then blown it up to 22 and then have to restart there as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it's all about the coins.
I guess it's more whether I care more about Meso or the item.
Yeah, it's time, right? It comes down to time because you're time gated with Helix. Yeah, and with the belt, you could push the belt back as well and go harder on the kind of treasure, because with the belt you could get backups before, right? And then that means that you can try 20 to 21 without having to do that. So you could push the belt back as well and do the ring first, so that you if it does cost coins, that you still have the belt as a potential out, because you always want to look at how far are you pushing another upgrade back if you do this one, if it goes wrong. That's like
Yeah.
when doing Sweetwater coins, right? Because they all share the same resource. So you're like, if you're doing one and you get unlucky, you push the other one back, but that means you have to reprioritize, and the other ones just get shuffled down, and they just become long-term priorities instead of midterm.
Okay. Yeah. So I should get. So for today, should I like try to get those?
For 30% off, I wouldn't work on anything. I would just work for 5, 10, 15. It's always better at 5, 10, 15 if you do anything
I should
past
just
15.
work on the glove today.
Yeah, I would just work on the glove and set up your plan for DMT if you want to add the weapon, if you want to add the glove, and make sure that you have those resources. And then mainly a little bit of Legion, but a lot of toteming to make a lot of money for the 5, 10, 15, and then try to aim for 21 on full CRA, and then see if you can get any of the accessories. Maybe you get a drop on Helix before then, and then that'll make your decision. If not, then you have a lot of kind of treasuring, so you can try for the superior.
Hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Anytime the game shows you with a drop, like what is the next path, those are the easy decisions, because you're like, those are just the obvious decisions, and then it's like, it's not really like gambling anymore. It's like when you're doing poker and you have a really good hand and you know the odds, then you can you can make an objectively good decision. Even if you lose, it was still a good decision because it was a decision to make, you know. And then you get RNG, you know. That just happens. Doesn't mean that your decision was bad. It just means you were unlucky.
Yeah. And if I get a weapon today, should I prioritize getting it to 17 over 21, starring my CRA?
You should be able to make enough money to do both.
Okay. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. That at this stage of the game, that shouldn't be a decision that you have to make. You can do like one earlier than the other, so that in case you get super unlucky, you still make the upgrade. So in that case, I would do the weapon on that day. I would do the weapon to 17 first, and then work on the CRA right after. But you should have enough money to do both of those upgrades. Like again, barring super bad luck, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll just like.
Yeah, because you said you get 10 bill a week, right? So it's like 4 more weeks. You said you get 10 bill a week roughly, right? So it's 4 more weeks, so it's 40 bill. So yeah, that.
Like, yeah, but I guess it's contingent on the number of totems I get.
Yeah, that's true.
Shop, you know, so.
Yeah. Wait, are you sometimes not able to buy them all out?
I buy them out,
Mm-hmm.
but I've only started buying them out recently because I haven't done a totem in like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise, like I have a video as well for like reward points, how to maximize if you feel like you're sometimes
I've
short.
been training my Pathfinder on MapleM.
Oh yeah, you're doing that. Yeah, that's.
For my
It's so free, right?
Or like a random character that I hate that I want to bring it to 100. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I started like 2 days ago and I was level 96, just auto battling.
Yeah, I'm at level like 127 right now.
Nice. I heard every level 120 it gets a little bit slower.
Yeah, but actually there's an event, the Rudolph event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you get those coins, and with that currency you can get some potions that bonk you up.
I saw that. Yeah, you can like buy the level up every day or something.
Yeah, you can get a level up potion, but you only can buy like 5. So I think like using it at level 130, it should be better.
Wait, how do you do this? Hang on, give me some strats. Happyville and then Buff
The
Tree
Rudolph
event.
There's a shop in the top right corner, I think. When you press like the Rudolph event, there's a shop on the top right, and there's like Typhoon potion. There's like potions in there. Yeah, but you only can buy like 5 of them, so you may want to use them after like 130.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, those are really good, but it's only like
growth EXP elixir, that one.
Yeah, you can use them like from 135 to 140, because it gets really slow.
Oh, I see. Oh, and it's it's like a 1 guaranteed level.
Yeah, I mean I've used it and it gave me like a level, so I think
5 per account, a mysterious elixir that grants EXP. Grants different amounts of EXP depending on the user's level. Oh, this is so vague. This is typical next level. Okay.
It's I read it, I didn't really understand what they were telling me.
Yeah. I guess it's a level. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you for the strat. Now I got the last 5 levels locked in.
Yeah, it'll take really long for those levels, honestly.
Well, I mean, relatively long, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, AFKing the whole time playing, so
I remember playing. I don't know how long ago you played, but like in 2005 and 2006, that was
yeah.
that took a long time to level.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
I played it a long time ago, also like a bit.
When like level 30 was like a month of grinding.
Yeah.
What a different
Gosh.
time it was. Yeah, and now you're considering like, do I buy the arcane weapon now or do I buy arcane? Right, different decisions for
Yeah.
different times.
Yeah, I think I'll probably just buy the arcane weapon just to get.
Yeah.
Cause
I think it'll feel good once you made the decision and you just go with it, because it's a lot
Yeah.
of, you're just weighing a lot of scenarios right now, and sometimes it's just good to say like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it and just do it, and then
yeah,
have that weight just off your shoulders.
yeah, I'll probably just get it
Mhm.
sometime. Yeah. Let me think.
Yeah, I think otherwise we covered most of the things, right? Because your drop gear seems pretty solid. You've got all of those old pieces there. You've already got some higher Star Force items that are already like the kind of treasure and the earring and the
Yeah,
pendant is
I just
nice.
tapped them all off event.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
good progress.
I just went straight from 17 to 21. I was like, okay,
Okay, yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. No questions asked. Moving on. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and Abzo is in a good position where you don't really need to
Yeah.
upgrade it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch them anymore. And oh, do you think like the flames are alright for my items?
Yeah, I don't think anything is bad there. Any kind of flames you get are gonna be going into arcane, right? Anyway, so
Okay. Yeah.
I think they have more value there than on anything else. Maybe your cup can be a little bit better, Pink Holy Cup.
Yeah, I should start doing ping bean every day instead.
No, I wouldn't say that, but like I would say like have one cup on the side so that if you have a spare flame and nothing else to really use it on, you can just
Oh,
always
yeah.
throw it on a spare cup. I wouldn't do pink
Yeah,
bean every day. I don't think that's good value.
I
Especially
usually
yeah.
use my cups.
Instead of doing
So I
pink bean
can
every day,
follow.
you should do normal arc every day. If you're
Okay,
considering
sounds
that, I
better.
think that's way higher priority. So
Okay.
I just have a
Yeah,
cup on the
but
side and throw spare flames on it. If
I have another
once you're-
cup that's like 40 and 5,
Mhm.
but it's not better right now for me. So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just wait until it gets better.
It'll be around the same, but it's not. There's never going to be a huge difference between 40 and 5 and 64 and 5 attack. I don't think.
Yeah.
40 and 5, you mean 5 all star, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not attack. If it's
Yeah.
attack, that's just worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just making sure. It's
Yeah.
it's always going to be roughly the same, so it's never going to be a huge difference between those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until some crazy shit happens where, like, arcane symbols and sacred symbols stat is like multiplied by stat or something like that. Then it would like start outscaling. But if they ever did that, the game would just implode.
Yeah, for sure.
I tried to math that out once because we get up to like 700%, and if you get like 20k stat at like 700%, you're kind of destroying the game.
Yeah. For familiar, should I just like make them epic and not try for unique? You think that's a good strat?
Depends on how many you have. If you really have like a whole inventory flooded with familiars because you're grinding so much, then I think it's okay making some uniques as well.
Okay.
Because I mean, the second line on a unique is still an epic line as well, right? So you have 2 outs.
Oh, okay. That's true.
Yeah. So if you have a full inventory, I say go for it. But if you're kind of limited, it's better to just shit out mass epics until you get like at least until you get the large drop rate, because that's going to be a huge one. Because once you get a large drop rate, then you get so many familiars, then you're probably making uniques back to back.
And when I train, I was wondering whether I should use the spirit pendant or my drop pendant.
So if you're still just if the main purpose, so you say if you train, then it's spirit pendant guaranteed. If you're like farming, then go for the drop pendant. But if you're training, then go for the spirit pendant. So that's why I make a little bit of a thing out of this when people are like, oh, I'm gonna go farming. It's like, oh, why would you farm on your main? And say, oh, I mean training. It's like, well, then say training, right? Because I think it really matters what you say, because that determines what is the main purpose, right? If you're training, your main purpose is to get experience and to level, and you get other stuff as well, but your main purpose is the leveling. So if your main purpose is leveling, you want to emphasize that, so you get the spirit pendant. If you're just farming because you want to make money for the event, then the main purpose is to make resources, and experience is secondary. Then you go for the drop, because that's more important.
Okay.
So that's how I would look at that.
And before I go into like looking into joining a Heart Tenebris boss, how much stat should I look at?
Yeah. Oof.
Or is it like other than stat?
Heart Tenebris, yeah. You know, stat is not the only blah, you know, but like looking at the numbers and everything. I mean, the bosses are like, you probably want to look at 265 level wise.
Yeah.
So you're going towards like the later stages of the late game. So you're looking like towards 45k stat.
Okay.
Definitely 40 plus. Because if the whole party is like just at 40k stat, the Heart Tenebris bosses are probably going to be quite rough.
Yeah, and like a full arcane set with that.
Yeah, that's not necessary, but if you happen to be in that, then that's cool. Because someone who's like 17-star Wep, 17-star Abzo, and everything else is 22, and they know the mechanics inside and out, they will have like a good time doing those bosses. But someone who's full 17-star Arcane, they have no idea what they're doing, and they're just like bad at mechanics, those people will get absolutely railed. So there's never like one indicator that says like this is the one number, and then everything will work out fine, right? It's a bunch of moving stats and a bunch of moving
the
factors.
Mechanics for it. Like even if you are 70k stat, you can't do hard will if you don't know how to do it.
No, damage is the best mechanic, but you do need some game knowledge. Yeah, you put a new character on like 100k stat character, they're gonna get absolutely destroyed by everything. Not by snails, of course, but like they probably won't be able to do CPAP, even though technically it's just a bind and burst. If they don't know the character, don't know the game, they'll still get killed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and for cubing, I was wondering like when I should cube instead of star.
I think you're now at the stage where you're mainly focusing on trying to get those fodders up and trying to get those 20s and those 21s. And once you're at the stars where you're okay with staying for a while, which is probably going to be 20 or 21, right? So if you transfer into 20 and you don't have backups and you're okay with keeping like some superiors at 20, and then getting most of the stuff to 21, that's going to get you into Heart Tenebris. Then you can really commit to the potential and go for like 2.5 or go for 3 line on the potentials. But I would just
so like 21 stars a priority before cubing.
Yeah, because most of them you have to fodder like the superior, so you want to make sure that the Star Force is there first, and then you can commit to the cubing. And until then, you know, just 2-line potential and legendary like you have now is fine.
And for like, how about that for arcane items? Do you like?
Yeah, usually by the time I move into Arcane, you're already ready to commit immediately to like 2.5 line, to like 30% basically. Or like in terms of the glove, like we talked, right? Like basically crit damage and stat initially, and then into double crit damage. Not too far after that.
And like, what if I have not reached 21 stars on all my other items, but I got a full set arcane? Should I get 3 lines on that arcane?
So when you say 3 lines, you mean like 33%,
like
right?
2.5 lines.
Oh, 2.5 lines,
like
yeah.
30, 27.
Yeah, depending on event, right? If there's a cube sale, then you definitely go for it first. And if there's a Star Force event soon, then maybe you save up and do the Star Force first, and then...
Okay.
Cubing is more the later you go, because cube sales are much more like far and wide in between, whatever the saying is. Like they're further apart, right? So
yeah.
It's more... makes more sense that there's going to be a Star Force event soon, and that you just don't have the extra money to go spending on other stuff, and you just start saving up more money for every Star Force event until you're like, okay, the next upgrade is like everything to 22. This is ridiculous. And then you start working more on your potentials to even those out, and maybe even buying some flames to even out your flames on everything. And then you kind of look
like, you know, 2 lines and 21 stars. I mean, when everything's at 21 stars, that's when you start to look for more.
Yeah, and 2 lines and 21 star is way better than 3 lines and 17 star anyway, so...
Yeah, and for today, should I do my arcane glove, or should I like start for some fodder instead? Like, you know, start forcing some fodder to 15.
Yeah.
so that I can 21 star them a bit cheaper.
I mean, I guess
Like
technically you save more on 30% off, so I would do 30% off for the glove, and then use the 1+1 to do some fodder.
So like for example, my Kana treasure, I should get it to 15 on the 1+1.
Yeah, probably use that. Like that's like the next best thing, and you want to go hard on the 5, 10, 15, so you want to have them done before then. But you save more money on 30% off than on 1+1, so you want to do your biggest expenses now. So I would do the glove now, and then save the other one. Like if you don't have the money, or if you still have the money, then you can do the weapon if you want.
Because you know there's that 30% off after that 5, 10, 15.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I could do my glove on that day instead. I don't know.
That's possible as well, but then you're kind of stuck waiting for another 5, 10, 15, like you said, right?
Yeah, but
you
know,
could do that.
I'm not gonna wear that glove, for a long time.
Yeah, you could do that for sure. It'll just be legendary already and just sitting in your inventory and be like at 0 stars until 30% off. That's another thing you could do, and then you could focus now on the weapon only. And then if the weapon works, then you can do the other pieces. And if you decide to not get the weapon for whatever your reason is, then you can do the fodder first. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just focus on my arcane weapon if I buy it. Then after that, get my CRA. Then focus on my CRA. Then after that, focus on my accessories. That's the general order of it.
Yeah, but yeah, for the CRA and for the accessories, it's all just 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15 time.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
Right. But grants on one of the pieces at 21 at least, right? That's
Sorry?
the pants are at least nice, right?
Yeah, it was really easy though. Like after I boomed my top like 4 times,
yeah,
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna move on to something else, and it just went straight up.
Yeah,
I was like, okay,
it's like it's cursed.
It kind of balances out, you know.
Yeah, exactly. If you spend only 5 bill, it's still net positive, still a big upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main thing about 30% is that cost-wise it's pretty similar to 5, 10, 15, but boom-wise it's way higher. So that's why I just prefer to do 5, 10, 15 because it's so annoying always getting stuck in 10 to 15.
But actually, like, if you have, I guess if you boom more but the cost is the same, it doesn't really matter for CRA. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe I'll try and get so for my 5, 10, 15 plan will be more for accessories. And the 30% after that will be for 21%, 21 star CRA.
You could do that. You could do that because you have a lot of backups. Well, you're in med school, right? You're familiar with like statistics, standard deviation, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So if on average you blow up more things, that means that your standard deviation is wider, right?
Yeah.
Because when you blow up, that's what costs a lot of extra money. So it has to do with like risk mitigation and with how risk aversive you are. If you're pretty risk aversive, you'd want to do a 5, 10, 15. If you're okay with taking up more risk, then you do a 30% off, basically.
I mean, the lowest cost you can get for 30% is cheaper.
Yep.
You get,
But the highest is probably higher.
Yeah, the variation is a lot more for 30%.
Exactly, yeah. Like, what is it? Sigma is bigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference. But if you have that statistical insight, then and your risk aversiveness, then you can make that decision. But you can always reassess on the day itself and look at how much money you have. And if you get lucky with some pieces and you have more money left, then you could be like, well, then I'll just do this instead.
Yeah.
As long as you're more flexible in doing that, then you'll be able to progress more easily.
Yeah. All right.
All right, you feeling good about it?
Yep. I think I'll just do a lot of totems until 5, 10, 15. Then I'll work on my Legion after that.
Okay, good. Just make a lot of money and then... just like damage is the best mechanic, money is the best decision made.
Yeah, just trying to get stronger for the moment before I stop being active again.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, you hope when you come back that you don't get behind a whole lot.
Yeah. Oh, at the moment I only have 3 damage rings. That's the issue. That's another issue. I forgot. Yeah. So I don't know whether I should get that free event ring and just cube it to get a 4th damage ring, or maybe I should look at other options.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because you don't have any primals. Yeah, true. Yeah, that would be fine. Which one do you still need? Like the The Justicar, the glory ring.
Yeah, I guess one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'll just like cube it.
Yeah, that seems fine. I mean, it's basically equivalent of 17 star, a little bit stronger, or a little bit weaker, but like it's around there.
Yeah, because running a drop ring when I'm killing bosses doesn't feel great.
No, yeah, it's just 9% strength. Feels like you're missing out quite on some damage there. I mean, you're essentially missing out on like 12% stat on your entire account, right? So it's not that bad, but yeah, I get it. The question is if you want to go hard on the event ring, if you're, hopefully pretty soon moving into the Meister ring anyway, versus getting that ring on another character and how much value it could have there. But it seems like you're very committed to one character, so I feel like that second part isn't really a thing.
Maybe I can just put it on like my Demon Avenger that doesn't feel great to play. Oh no.
That's an option.
Make it strong.
Yeah, that's an option if you feel like it needs that damage. Because I think, once you get one primal, right, you can immediately make a Meister ring, get it to 17, and basically get the equivalent. And then the ring immediately becomes obsolete because you already have your drop and Mezzo set, and then it's just kind of a lost ring, and all of the money invested in the potential is kind of gone.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about for that 4th ring slot was Oz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know whether it would be very time efficient to do that compared to working on my Legion or like.
It's compared to working on your Legion at this point, it's very inefficient. Because the average chance of getting a good ring from a box and how much time you have to spend on that is very low. It becomes efficient once you're like basically full 21 gear and into Arcane set. And then it becomes efficient because you're just waiting for droplets and waiting for boss drops, and making money and waiting for big events. So in the meantime, like Oz is a, YOLOing Oz for like the off chance of a really good ring is that's the play there.
Yeah.
Unless you really like the content, you just want to do it and it's fun for you, then you can go ahead, of course. But
no.
If you're talking no, if you're talking about efficiency wise, then it does have its time to shine for sure.
Yeah.
But wouldn't be just yet, no.
Yeah, in a long time though, not right now.
Yeah, no, I would focus more on like trying to get normal arc in there daily, and then getting a Meister ring. Because the other thing is also if you get that scroll to upgrade the event ring, if you get the event ring here and then you upgrade it, then that scroll is completely useless as well, because you have no event rings to upgrade.
Oh yeah, no, I meant like I wait for that scroll.
Oh, you'll wait, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna like cube it and have a scroll.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah. Well, you hope you get a primal before then. Another thing, just as the last thing, I guess, if you want to get more primals and everything, the normal arc is also one of the easier bosses that you can scale up on, right? You can just do on a lot more characters. Your 210s will need some equips, of course, but even at 210, if they just have some equips, a lot of them, if you just bind and burst and use your 5th job skills, you can blow them up pretty easily. That'll give you a lot more chances of getting primals than just like stacking another 100% drop on your main or something, right? Just running it on a few other characters. If you do, and going that route and you want a bunch of backups, then that's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that, but we'll see about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you feeling good?
Yep.
All right, because we're a little bit over time.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll so best of luck, and just whatever decision you end up making, just make sure that you thought it through and then just go for it. It's not like in real life, the consequences aren't as crazy, so
yeah, I mean, even if I get a drop, I guess it's just 2 months,
it'll work itself out. Yeah. Well, if you're doing hard, it's a lot faster, right? Because you usually get three per run.
It's 3 droplets a week, so it's 8 weeks.
Oh yeah, 8 weeks, yeah. Yep. All right, but I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And may all the star forcing and cubing work in your favor. Okay.
Yeah, I hope I get full 21 in 10 bill or something.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Let's go for that.
Yeah, I mean all my 21s happened within 2 bill. So
yeah, well then you should prepare for some 20 bill ones.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to
mentally prepare, so
yeah. All right. Thank you
Alright.
so much.
Yeah, no worries. Best of luck, and I'll see you around. And good luck with school and everything. I hope everything
Thank
works
you.
out.
Thank you. See
Alright.
you.
Yeah, see ya. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right, cool beans. All right, your totem better be over by now, guys. Hopefully you had a good training session. You made some big gains. Yeah, so definitely you can get paralyzed by the decision making, and by every single thing has its benefit, every single thing has its downsides, whether you go for one thing first, one thing last. I'll repeat one more time what I said. Like, I've had a lot of people very hesitant to buy the weapon because what if you get a drop? But every single person, even the people who got a drop less than a week after they made it, still didn't regret their decision, because the weapon is just such a huge upgrade. It just feels so good actually doing an upgrade and seeing the numbers go up, which is pretty rare in that stage of the game, because usually you're just like, I know I'm getting stronger, but I don't really see it. Unless you're just, dumping like 200 bill and getting massively lucky on a bunch of pieces. If it's very rare to have one piece make that significant of a difference. So whenever you can, it typically just feels really good. So again, not too many people I know, or like no one I know, have actually regretted it. But it ultimately it's your decision. All right, it's your time, it's your effort. You work for it, so you get to decide ultimately, and just make sure that you weigh the pros and the cons, and then just go for it. Because not doing anything is also a decision, right? You're putting it off, and you're keeping it in the back of your head the whole time and thinking about it. So inaction is also action. On that note, that got a little heavy, huh? On that note, hopefully the session was informational for you guys. Hopefully you got at least one or two things out of it that could help you progress in the game at your current stage. And if you would like to win in one of these sessions, make sure you leave a comment saying that you would like to win. At the end of the month, I will draw 2 winners again, like always, and then those people will get a session for free with me. And for everyone else, if you don't want to wait, there's a link in the description how you can request these sessions. Over the holidays with Christmas and New Year's and everything, it's going to be, a lot of the scheduling is probably going to be a little bit rough. But the sooner you register, the sooner you request, the sooner we can get the session planned for maybe after New Year's or whatever works for you. So sooner you get on the schedule, the sooner you'll know that you're up for it. So keep an eye out for the events. Good luck with all the upgrading. 30% off today, so make sure you get that done. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.